All right, I hit record. What's good, everybody?
Hi.
We Know Kino. Are you ready, Steve?
I'm ready.
Are you ready,
So
Bex?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, and I'm Seb. There, we did an introduction. We've never introduced ourselves that fast.
We either do it halfway through or right at the end, but we're here now. Welcome to the new episode. We're still learning. 4 weeks. We're getting there. We're getting there.
We Know Kino. And we're doing Dawn of the Dead from 1978 this week.
What a classic.
You know, what's that quote? When the dead are dead, then the zombies will walk the
when there's no more room in hell. Yeah. We Know Kino will fill the void or something like that. I don't know.
So, guys, first off, I need to talk about the gonk.
Yeah.
The gonk.
The gonk. What a song. It's been stuck in my head for years.
Yeah, it's been stuck in my head all night.
It never leaves.
It just never leaves.
You now have to live with this. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's the song that goes bum 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 bum, and it'll just live with you. Every time there's silence, that plays in my head.
Said, can I hurt you a little bit, right? The first time I ever heard the gonk was on the ending credit scenes of Robot Chicken.
Oh no, of course. Yeah, Robot Chicken, the gonk.
Yeah.
Hillary was telling me about that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So we watched Dawn of the Dead 1978. We all went away and we watched it separately. You two watched it last night. Or like a few hours ago, really, right?
Yeah. I took it on, Derek. I got it on.
I've been away. I've been in Barcelona. So I watched the US theatrical cut on the plane to Barcelona. I tried to watch Morbius, guys. But
why did you do that?
Because I've got a copy on my 3DS and I thought it'd be really funny to like watch it in 180p on the tiniest screen.
Really set the tone for the holiday.
Proper Kino, you know.
That's probably the best quality, to be honest.
Yeah, the turbulence was so bad I couldn't hear it, so I switched it off.
We'll save the Morbius episode for the We Know Kino
please.
finale. Yeah.
That's the April Fools next April. Yeah. So I watched that cut on the way there. By the way, there's like so many cuts of this movie, and then I watched the Dario cut on the way back.
What was that like?
You asked me last night if you should watch. I mean, you both asked which cut you should watch, and I said, I said to Steve, check out the extended cut because you don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
But then I thought to myself, oh shit, does the extended cut have the Goblin soundtrack? This is so confusing. We'll get to it. But
we'll get to it. Yeah, we'll.
My favorite version is the fan-made extended Mall Hours cut. So I also sent that as well.
What does that clock in at?
That was 2:30. Ours was 2:20
or something.
2:40.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Maybe 2:30. Yeah. But anyway, that version kind of takes all the parts of both cuts and sews them together and syncs the audio, so it's quite good.
Okay.
But while I've been waiting for this morning, I started watching the Japanese dub.
Oh.
Have you guys ever seen the Japanese dub?
No, I didn't even know there was one.
I can only imagine, like, if it's anything like Japanese Spider-Man, I can only imagine.
Japanese Spider-Man's the best. Spider-Man, yeah, it's great.
It really is.
This version has it's changed all of the sound effects for the guns, so it's like laser sound effects almost. And it's so cool. The guy who plays Roger has the best voice ever. The soundtrack uses a lot of Suspiria songs,
which is bangers.
Oh, okay. So Dawn of the Dead, 1978. I'm just top of the dome on this right now. They needed funding for the movie. And Dario Argento, the director of Suspiria and a lot of other Italian awesome horror movies. I gotta say though, guys, I've not seen Suspiria, so I need to watch that. I need to fix that.
Oh my God. Yeah, 100%.
Maybe that'll be a future choice, you know. He was like, yo, I'll match whatever funding you get, if not give you more money. But you can edit it and produce it and put out a version in the West, in like North America and South America, but I'll get the rights to produce it in Europe and make my own version with the footage you shot. I'm going to get my own soundtrack. So last night when I was like, hey, dude, what songs are in your version? That's because there's different soundtracks for this movie. And in Italy, it was released called Zombie. and that's why there's so many versions of this, because they're different rights and they're different lengths as well. The Italian version cuts out a lot of the humor.
Yeah.
Which I will point out when we get to those moments, because you watched the US extended cut.
Yeah.
Did you as well, Bex?
Mine was the Cannes Film Festival, the extended edition.
The
I think
Cannes
it's the
Film
same
Festival.
thing.
So yeah, I think that might be the same thing. In fact, yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the same thing. The Cannes Film Festival has an awesome director's commentary that's available on YouTube for that one as well.
I've seen it come in, but I never clicked onto it.
I think the channel Alpha Romero is just fantastic. Shout outs to him. He's got like so many resources on all Romero movies. I love him. I love the channel. I don't know what I was talking about. Sure.
The different cuts, because
different cuts and stuff.
Oh yeah, different cuts.
I did some research. Like I kind of just I found myself gravitating towards Reddit once because I couldn't sleep after it last night because I was so. I guess like I really enjoyed the movie. I want that to, like this was my first full viewing of like obviously the extended.
I was just about to ask you what your background with the movies were. I was just about to get into that. What was it?
Basically, for me, it was the remake first, the 2004 remake. And as much as I enjoyed that, I remember like my old college buddies. I remember we were just discussing zombies, and I was praising Romero's work on like the more modern zombie movies, and Dawn of the Dead came up specifically. Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, and they were like, "Have you ever seen the original Dawn of the Dead?" And I just kind of sat there for a second, thinking to myself, wait, there's an original one? Like, because like back then I was much younger and like I was very kind of out of the loop.
Absolutely. But,
they were like, oh no, the 1978 version, you like the one 1978, go watch that. And I remember watching it, and I remember a lot of just the mall, the mall story. But then like last night, just revisiting it again, that was superb. There's so many things that either I didn't notice back then, didn't obviously see back then because it was a theatrical cut. But my experience was once again just blissful ignorance, not actually knowing that an original one existed, which is kind of shameful to say right now. But I finally made things right. I made things right.
Mine is a bit more recent, I think, as well. During COVID, I got into a big era where I'd sit and watch a whole bunch of horror movies. But I also kind of like started up an obsession with a YouTube channel called Dead Meat. I'm pretty sure loads of people that have listened to the podcast have probably watched Dead Meat, and they were doing kill count videos on the entire series. And I had remembered when I was studying school doing Night, but I never even knew there was sequels. I was like, oh, there's just a bunch of zombie movies like with the of the dead in the name, so I don't know if they're all connected or whatever. So during COVID and stuff, while they were doing their kill counts videos, I'd watched the movie before watching the video. So they'd released their video and I'd watched the movie, and that's when I first seen the actual original.
That's the way to do it right there.
That's how I seen it. That's my history with the movie.
All right, that's pretty cool. Mine's very similar to Stevel's, where I watched the Zack Snyder 2004 remake. It was like, this is amazing. Holy shit. We were just talking about bullshit Rebel Moon earlier in the Discord. How the mighty have fallen. God damn it. He went from this. I think this was Zack Snyder's first movie when he did the remake. Not this, but the remake. Yeah. And then he did 300. And then did he do Watchmen? Did he just knock it out of the park 3 times in a row? And then
he basically, he absolutely just peaked.
Peaked too early.
I'd rather not say anything about Zack Snyder.
Well, we're not talking about the Zack Snyder version anyway, so we can get away from that. So yeah, I watched that version. I was like, that is hype. That is great.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, at some point, this movie, I watch it every time I'm traveling because there's always a different version on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to get a hold of download a version to take with me anywhere. And this is why I've seen like every different cut of the movie, and so many different fan edits of the movie as well. Yeah, because of that, I just adore it. I think it is one of my favorite movies, even though like technically it's not as good as like The Shining or 2001, or even like I don't know if the shots are as artistic as Night of the Living Dead.
Right?
No.
Here's one of my questions. Do you think this is a good follow-up to Night of the Living Dead? Because this is the first kind of sequel that we're covering here on We Know Kino.
We like when we talked about Night, you guys kind of had your opinions on your favorite one, and I didn't really have an opinion on my favorite of the Dead movies. After watching this, I think this is probably my favorite zombie movie of all time.
Ooh,
I've come to that conclusion. The only one that's close, and it's not really, is Shaun of the Dead. I don't think there's any actual not Shaun of the Dead movie that's a zombie movie that I think is as good as this.
The thing with these movies are they all owe themselves to this and to Night.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like Shaun of the Dead would not exist without this. They even have some of the same soundtrack because it's paying so much homage to it.
Like for me, this was an outstanding follow-up. There's points at the start, like, you know, kind of like, we'll get into it, but like where there's some scenes that, you know, were obviously shot like at night. Well, a lot of it was actually, sorry.
This whole movie was shot during the night, basically. All the mall stuff.
All the mall stuff. Part of me like kind of was kind of like, not what's the word I'm looking for? Part of me missed the black and white kind of like just of Night, but I can understand why this one like was shot in color. Some aspects of it like would have done well, but all in all, we'll get into that. But,
I'd love to see a black and white cut of this
yeah,
film.
I mean, it would have been enriched by like just pure black and white like Night, but I can understand why they went for color. They probably they wanted to modernize it. It was 10 years later, like, to be fair. So no, outstanding follow up for me. Like and afterwards, any movie I enjoy, basically, I'll go online and I'll kind of like, I'll check perceptions, I'll check opinions, I'll look at like video essays or reviews, and I'm now fascinated about the extended mall hours cut. I will seek that out at some point, because I heard they're so tonally like you said, tonally different. Even this, and the soundtrack is a little bit more kind of like ominous, kind of serious of the Italian cut. Is that correct? Or
So the European cut. There's a band called Goblin that worked with Argento a lot.
They're amazing.
So they are amazing. Like you said, they're just incredible. And I don't know if they use any Goblin in the extended cut, but I know in the theatrical cut, it's like a mix of Goblin and this library music that he found.
I think in the extended there is, because to shout out Suspiria, the only time I'll do it, there's a song, literally just the title, called Suspiria. It's such a good song. Anybody that like listens to this, go listen to it. It's just Suspiria Team, made by Goblin. There's a couple of little songs that sound in the extended cut that's very, very similar to that, where I think it might be an actual Goblin song.
Right.
In Dawn.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, you've got your library music that George Romero just picked up because it was like they had access to this music library and they could use it copyright free, or they had, maybe they had the license to use it. And then they had the Goblin soundtrack, which is just incredible. So the Italian version is only the Goblin soundtrack, I'm pretty sure. And a lot of like the goofy scenes are cut out. I feel like I'm repeating myself. Again, we'll get into that when the time comes. I'll explain some of the parts that have been cut out. This movie, there's like two things that got this movie made, right? Well, apart from George Romero and all the other people who worked on it. The mall was owned by some friends of George Romero's, and they were showing him around, and they showed him like a crawl space with like supplies in it. And he was like, "Oh, I wonder how long people could live in here if there was a zombie apocalypse." So that's where the idea came from. Yeah. And then they were trying to get funding, and they went to like loads of different places to try and get funding. But Dario Argento, he's the one who helped them out. He flew George and his wife at the time to Rome, and he wrote Dawn in like a few weeks in Rome. And I think if you watch the movie, a lot of the movie is them just getting stuff done.
Yeah.
I mean, there is some amazing dialogue. There are some amazing dialogue heavy scenes, but a lot of it is just like you watching them go from point A to point B. It's very simple. So if I was to write a script in like 2 weeks, I think I'd fill it up with a bunch of that, you know. George Lucas, you know, in the behind the scenes of like Star Wars, he was just like, and then there's a lot of, and watch them fight, you know, something like that. And then they fight.
George Lucas. I don't know if there's an episode yet we haven't said it.
The two Georges. I love Star Wars.
I love the Acolyte. Watch
it. That's going to date us. That's going to date us.
It's dated instantly. The minute the sentence was said, it was dated.
I mean, we are talking about a movie from 1970s.
Which is holding up better than our Acolyte already did.
This movie holds up so well. Like, often, you know, in the past, I would always watch the Zack Snyder remake.
Yeah.
But I think that's dated more than this film.
Yeah, for sure. I seen that a couple of years ago.
I rewatched it last year. And I didn't like it as much as I had done when I first seen it.
I watched it last year and I didn't like it as much as I previously as well.
I think I've just lost all love for anything Zack Snyder, to be honest.
Yeah, you know, that's understandable.
But that's an argument for another day.
We'll get to that. I'm sure I'll pick a Snyder movie at some point. I'm going to. Oh, one of us will, you know. Okay, shall we get into the movie?
Absolutely.
I got to say, how much did you guys have a lot of notes for this?
Yes. Quite a bit, yeah.
11 pages. I literally ran out of ink at one stage.
You had to go and kill another octopus or squid.
Please update to your phone, Steve.
I ran out of notes on my phone. I ran out of space.
How?
On you, Beckham. Yeah. This is
so big. This movie is. Okay. Red carpet. Red carpet. We open with the red carpet. It's so bold, and depending on which versions you got, sometimes it's a bit orange. If you watch the Japanese dub like me, it's on like it's recorded from an old TV, and there's like scan lines, and it's almost purpley. That version is so cool, by the way. Okay. This is the first movie we've covered that doesn't have a car driving somewhere for the openings.
The streak is over. No more car driving to an undisclosed location. It's over. We got 3 good weeks of it.
So it starts with like Fran, you know, lying against this. It looks like a blood-soaked carpet. What the hell is
really
going on there?
Yeah.
And that's because they're in a newsroom, so I suppose you carpet the walls to soundproof stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just chaos. Right from the beginning, chaos. This movie just jump starts. It throws you in it. You know what's occurring because they're in the newsroom. We've already discussed in Night of the Living Dead. Go check out our podcast episode on that George Romero loves covering the news. And he's quite prescient in this movie, actually, I would say, because we'll get to the hosts arguing about what is going on, right? The scientist has like a different solution to what the host wants, and like you were saying before, Bex, we went through the pandemic, we went through COVID-19. How many times on TV did you have a scientist just like begging somebody, or like the hosts of like a news program arguing with the scientists about what the fuck to do? Politicians saying they know better than the science, you know. Anyway, it's all quite political, but that's what I mean. George is prescient. Like, this is the stuff that would have happened, and he almost saw it, you know. Like in his mind, he knew what society would be like, and I think that's why George is so great. I love him. I love him. I love this guy. Is so dope. Did you catch the cameo of him and his ex-wife sitting there in the soundboard?
I didn't actually.
He was kind of handsome, to be fair to him. I've given that now as well for the times.
I think he's a guy who kind of grew into his look.
Yeah,
the older he got,
the older he got, especially when he got the big glasses, the big black glasses, which is like, you know, you picture George Romero, you see him in that, but he was a very tall guy. You don't realize how huge George Romero is. Loads of people describe him as a bear. He was always hugging people, and it's like a bear hug. You know? He's always hugging people. That sounds weird. He's going around hugging people.
I do see. I've just looked up the cameo, the screen cap of it there, of the cameo of him and his wife. Wow, actually, wow. Yeah, it completely bypassed me when I watched it.
Did you catch his cameo in Night of the Living Dead? I don't know if we spoke about that during the movie.
I don't think we mentioned it.
Yeah, it's when the military guys or the government guys are being interviewed in Washington, D.C. He's the guy holding the mic, I think.
Yes. I caught that one. I don't think we spoke about it in the first episode, but yeah, I definitely spotted that one. How did I miss this one then? Huh.
There's so much going on the screen at this point.
Within the news station, yeah, there's just a huge commotion.
They kill for one reason. They kill for food. They eat their victims.
Yeah, yes, and then their victims want to kill for food, and it's a constant circle.
So we've established what is going on. We've established that the zombies continue much faster than the previous movie, where it was Ben explaining to us. It's impactful. It's shocking, and you've got. Our main character, one of our main characters. This is great. This kind of starts off. Oh my goodness! It's Left 4 Dead. This is our four main characters.
Actually, yeah.
Holy shit! I feel like I've been playing this movie my whole life across video games.
Exactly.
I connect this very much to Dead Rising.
Dead Rising, yeah.
Dead Rising, I think. Got sued by Warner Bros. Because it came out just after the Zack Snyder remake. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. There's way too many similarities in that game to this movie.
The idea, we've all imagined it in our heads, being stuck in a mall, or being stuck somewhere and having to fend off from zombies. And this is the movie that did it. This is it.
Fighting zombies at Big Tesco.
A big Tesco? No, fighting zombies at Little Tesco.
Or Sainsbury's or something like that, or Costco, yeah.
I'm throwing netto bags over their heads so they can't see me. Does netto even exist? I don't know. Probably not. I'm in Lidl. I'm going to that middle section, that has all the weird stuff in it. And I'm
just the bits and bobs.
The bits and bobs.
The trinkets, the odds and ends.
Actually, pretty good shout.
Oh,
yeah. Do we have much to say about this section? I mean, there's so much to say, but there's so much movie. As I said, I ran out of notes, so I had to cut a bunch of stuff to add more stuff in later.
I have a note here, but don't know if it was me that read it somewhere, if it's actually said in the movie, but isn't this 3 weeks after the first movie?
Wait.
Okay. I've got no notes on this other than in my own head. Dawn of the Off the Dead movies, they're all sequels to each other,
right?
In essence, they're all about 10 years apart,
right?
You can see them as if they weren't, and then we're 3 weeks through, and if Night of the Living Dead was the first day or the first couple days, then this would be what it's like 3 weeks later, but it's not 3 weeks later after Night of the Living Dead.
Right. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes more sense, because I'm pretty sure where I read it was either it was on a Reddit post or it was like somebody's own kind of like review of it. So I'm pretty sure they were kind of going off the same thing you said. I don't know if it was exactly them in the movie.
Day makes more sense as a sequel to this,
right?
Than Dawn makes to Night of the Living Dead. But I've also read the same thing before, where these are all kind of sequels to each other. But then you've got like Diary of the Dead, which takes place in like. I was going to say modern day, but we're quite a long time past that. I guess when I watched it and first came out, that was one of the Off the Dead movies I watched as it came out,
Yeah. No, that adds up. No, it kind of adds up.
Yeah.
It's just I just had it sketched down. I even had like little stars beside it because I wasn't entirely sure.
And none of these movies follow the same group of characters. Really, there's like cameos. Survival of the Dead has a character who cameos in Dawn of the Dead. Diary of the Dead. Sorry, and Land of the Dead has a character from this movie as well.
Yes,
we'll talk about that. But yeah, even though they are kind of sequels, they're all so far apart from each other, and they all kind of they have different things to say. Yeah, like Night of the Living Dead has this whole social commentary. Even if by accident you've got your all that going on. And then you've got this, which is like consumerism.
The commentary on that.
Yeah. So no, different. These characters are not going to bump into Ben. I mean, they are a dead Ben.
Unfortunately, yeah.
We're just going to walk past the farmhouse. Spoil this movie, guys, and go check out our podcast on Night of the Living Dead, because we've already spoiled that.
Where it all began.
Yeah.
But yeah, this news station, it's just pure commotion. It's pure chaos. They want to stay on the air. They want to keep reporting. They want to keep the interviews going. But this the scientist, like you say, he's pitching here: destroy the brain or sever the head from the rest of the body, and everyone is just kind of dunking on him. You got people walking up behind him, and like you got people like flipping him off.
People doing peace signs and stuff behind him.
Yeah, they're just not taking him seriously, and he's trying to like. It's like one of those things. Like guys in this position, like people in this position, listen to them. They know what they're talking about. They're like. But once again, it's being completely dismissed.
The news stations are always very sterile environments, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got this as just things being thrown everywhere. And the cameraman is arguing with the guy sitting in the chair. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is how chaotic. This is the pandemonium that has happened.
Yeah.
I think you get... Sorry, go on, Bex.
There's one line that said during all of the broadcast talking, there's one part where it's like telling everybody that they're not to be staying inside of their houses, right?
Yeah.
And I big brained this when I was watching it. This is just a me idea. I was like, this is the movie kind of telling us, don't worry, it's not going to be like the first movie. We're going to be a lot bigger than the first movie. Because in my own head, when they were saying it, it's just like, it's just so like, cool. Don't stay inside your homes, get outside, try and get somewhere safe. And in my head, I was just like, this movie is directly telling us right from the start. It's like, this is going to be a bigger movie than the first one, even if it's not a continue on like I thought it was there. It's just telling us that it's outside of just this farmhouse that we had in the first movie. I thought it was kind of cool.
We're following Francine, of Fran, and she starts arguing with one of the tech guys because they're posting. At the bottom of the screen, there's like numbers, and there's like places like, "Hey, go here for safety." Yeah, like safe zones, but they're out of date.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, yeah, but we'll get more like numbers if we have this on, right? This is still caring about fucking
engagements,
engagements. Whereas like, she's like, no, you're going to send people, people are going to get wrecked. And when I was involved, we had a huge flood in 2005, right? And on the TV, I remember seeing these go to big Tesco's for safety, that was a thing. So I had to go in a extreme time period. I had to go to a big shop and bunker down, basically. So that's a little personal thing there, a little personal connection.
So if the dead ever do rise, you've got an idea, you've got experience.
Yeah, I think because I live in a city with a big castle.
Yeah,
I think maybe the castle's a good place to go. They say that these old English castles could withstand like a nuclear blast. So I don't know how much I believe that, but yeah, maybe the castle is the place to go. But then again, probably everybody else here would think to do the same thing.
Yeah, so you're all just bunkering down and all.
If zombies attacked us, Steve, where'd we go?
Are you too close to each other? Like 40 minutes or something like that?
And what would we say, Steve? About 40, 45 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, like I hop in the car and I just drive south. Yeah, I'm just north of Bex, actually.
The safest place to me is probably a Penny's, or as other people call it, a Primark. They're like our safest looking zones. There's escalators, I can get upstairs. There's nothing really around us.
I'm going to my Lidl. I've got a little Lidl across the road, and listen, I'm just gonna hope that like nobody else has the idea. Everyone's looking at like Primark, Tesco's, Duns, all that sort of thing.
Nobody thinks about Lidl.
No, I'm gonna hunker down at the protein section and just set up shop and just hope I'll defend myself all sorts of like little utensils, like the DIY stuff like shears and brushes and bats.
I rent them kids' pajamas and a certain board.
Yeah.
They always have cool gardening gear in there. Like you could kill some zombies with like a weed whacker or something,
Exactly. That's what I'm defending myself with.
So we get what's he called? We get I've wrote him down as like Flyboy all the time here, but it's
Flyboy,
Steven, isn't it? So Steven,
Yeah.
he comes and he flies like the news helicopter or something. Or
is he traffic control, or is he some sort of he does the traffic reports?
The traffic reports,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys, have you guys ever read the novelization or listened to the audiobook?
No.
Who's the lead singer of Korn? Do you guys know?
Oh,
Jonathan Davis.
Callum, don't kill me.
Is it Jonathan Davis?
Jonathan.
No idea.
Jonathan Davis. Okay, so Jonathan Davis is the guy who reads the book, but it's not the Jonathan Davis from Korn.
Okay.
It's the guy who did like the Thrawn trilogy audiobooks for Star Wars.
Right.
Back to Star Wars.
Right.
But he's got such a great voice, so I'd recommend those audiobooks. You can find them on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll check one out.
They go into like the characters' backstories. They give the characters like surnames, and they kind of tell you what the deal is. So it's really cool to listen to that. I love listening to that. It's so dope. It's so dope. So we've got Flyboy. He comes to pick up his girlfriend,
Franny, yeah.
And they have a little argument. She's like, she needs to stay here. And he's like, no, we need to get the fuck out of here. I've got a helicopter.
Yeah.
We could go. I've got a helicopter and one of my mates in the police. He's getting out of here. So we're going to meet him and we'll be safe with him. He's a cool guy. Right?
Yeah.
And then, so it cuts to like the rooftop scene.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now we've got the SWAT team.
Yeah.
And they're in like, it's like the projects. I don't know what they're doing here. Is there a bunch of like zombies?
It's a raid.
Yeah, they've been
originally.
tipped off about
some like
stuff in the projects.
like terrorist activity or whatever, right? I thought this whole scene, it was so surreal to me. I thought this was a movie set. Because the way the guys were interacting with each other, the dialogue, the way they were speaking, I was like, there's no way.
You've got your super racist cop who just he just really wants to kill Puerto Ricans.
He's just like, I'm just ready to blast. And he's dropping slurs and he's just like, he's gonna
to kill Puerto Ricans.
He's gripping this shotgun and I'm like, right, this is we're in a movie scene now. And then I see one guy just like, and he just gets his head like blasted. He just gets shot right through the head. And I was like, oh, that's really good effects. And I was like, no, he's actually dead. No, this is actually a raid. But that's where we cut to.
There's one guy that comes out when the shootout happens, and it's a very white man doing brown face. He's wearing a red bandana.
Okay, have you ever seen Martin before? The movie Martin?
No.
Oh my god. Okay, all right. That's a future choice. I'm writing it down. All of my choices are going to be George Romero movies. Martin was George Romero's. He did it before this movie. It was his take on a modern vampire movie.
Is it the first work he did with Tom Savini?
Oh, it might be, yeah. Oh, to get into Tom Savini, you know what? We'll get into Tom Savini very soon when we get to the shotgun moment.
I love Tom Savini so much.
I love Tom Savini as well. So that guy, the guy in brown face, is an actor called John Amplas.
Right.
He played the titular Martin in George A. Romero's cult classic vampire film, Martin.
Wow.
Okay. I adore that movie. It's maybe a little bit slow, but it's about this guy who obviously has some mental health issues, who believes he is a vampire. And some members of his family also start to believe that he might be a vampire. But it's also, it's like it plays on the idea of like, the old idea of what vampires were, where, you know, it's a sexy guy and he's going to go and the women are going to fawn over him and he's going to make them like his own slaves.
Yeah,
but in reality, he's like hiding in like a woman's room and he can hear her taking a dump and then she comes out and then he tries to stab her with like a syringe, you know, to get her blood. So
that sounds interesting.
I don't think he was a great actor, but he was a fun actor. And I think he played the part quite well. So it's very weird to see him in brown face. Does he do the accent? I don't know if he talks.
I don't think so. I think he just shoots at people, runs away, gets shot at himself.
He was also the casting director for this movie.
And could he not have cast somebody who was of color for his own part?
I didn't even think about that. What he said was he mostly cast zombies. He was mostly recruiting the zombies. It's the most dated part of the entire movie.
Yeah.
Like,
It's very, it's in bad taste, to be fair. Now that I'm really sitting down and saying it out loud, it is really in bad taste.
Like, and then there's the guy, Wooly was the guy's name with the shotgun, by the way, and he's just, my own note is he's a big racist bigot, and he's so excited to kill people of color, and then we're introduced to, this is Roger, isn't it? Roger is one of the guys that are conducting the raid.
We're introduced to Roger, and in the novelization, we've got Roger being very like freaked out that like everybody's losing their minds, and like he's looking at like one of his fellow SWAT team, and this guy's real scared and he doesn't want to do it, and his sergeant's like, no, we're gonna go kill these Puerto Ricans, and then he just gets like shot in the fucking head, like, dies instantly.
So instant. It's crazy.
They shot this scene on top of the latent image offices, because they always just used like space that they had available to them. And they had to build up like brick walls and stuff because that didn't exist. So George A. Romero apparently said that he wanted like something wild to happen every 6 minutes. I'm like paraphrasing here. So this is why the movie is so snappy. And it keeps you going. So you've got, I think this is maybe at like the 12-minute moment. It depends on what cut you've got. You've got here we get the famous work from Tom Savini, the headshot shotgun scene, right?
Oh my god, yeah.
It's crazy. It's such a good shot.
It's fucking wild. So a door bursts open, you see a zombie turn around, boom, explode. Head. It's literally like a split second. It's not even on the screen for too long, but that instantly tells you, this is a horror movie right now. This is a horror movie. This is wild. And like, apparently that was Tom Savini. He knew he had to have a head explosion, so he all right, so there's different takes, there's different, like, I've heard different things about this head.
Right.
Okay.
Apparently, for the ending originally, Fran was going to throw her head into the helicopter blades.
We'll
get to that when we talk about the end of the movie. So this might have been Fran's head, but it's painted a bit brown for
Peter's head.
Is it Peter's head?
Yeah. So not to spoil the end of it, but right before Fran would have done that, Peter was planning on something else, and he'd used that head for that shot, but they never got to make it on film. So they had the head made of Peter's head, and if you freeze frame it, it's a very poorly looking Peter's head.
I'm understanding.
All right. So that's the head, and they just filled it up with everything he could find on like the craft service table.
There was apple cores and condoms were in it. I did a lot of research on Tom Savini more so than
what's at the craft service table.
Just
what kind of parties were they having when they were making this movie?
70s were wild, man.
So there's that amazing explosion, and Tom Savini, he does special effects on this movie. I don't know if he's also credited for this, but he did a lot of the stunts. Him and a guy called Tasso, the pair of them did most of the stunts together, just the two of them. So whenever somebody's like getting blown up or thrown out through a window or something like that, that's either one of those two. And this is, I'm pretty sure George A. Romero wanted Tom Savini for Night of the Living Dead, but Savini had to go to war, right?
Oh, okay.
So he was in the Vietnam War, I'm pretty sure, and he was a war photographer.
Right.
So he would take pictures of so many dead bodies and just people blown up. And maybe this is his way of dealing with it. I don't want to get into the psychology of Tom Savini. But like he is so excited to make gore and guts. And if you ever see a behind the scenes or like a documentary or an interview, his charisma and his excitement for what he does is just the best. He's so
he comes
much
across
fun.
as like the happiest guy on set when he gets to make crazy shit. It's so nice to see.
He said every day is Halloween for him when he's on a set of a George Romero movie. You know, he gets to do people up, you know, explode things, scare people. So they got him. He got to work on Dawn of the Dead, and he wanted, more so than any other movie prior, this movie, things look realistic.
Yeah.
Because of the way the color grading is and the way the color works on film, sometimes things don't look as realistic, but like the guts coming out of people, that all looks realistic. And that's because Tom Savini knew what that looked like in real life.
Yeah.
And that's pretty gross. But yeah, so Tom Savini, if you check out like any videos with him, or there's commentary with him and Giorgio Romero, that's fantastic. He's
had his hand in so many horror movies too. 2 years after this, he did Friday the 13th, the final chapter.
Oh, the final chapter.
I think he did a few Friday the 13th movies. He had his own cosmetic in the game as well. I remember.
He did. It was really cool.
Badass. Yeah.
He also did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Oh,
he did stuff for that as well.
Yeah,
and he starred in Rob Zombie's Halloween.
There you go.
There you go. Tom Savini's about. He did.
Oh shit!
He's in there somewhere.
Rewatch at some point. You know what? I don't mind the first Rob Zombie Halloween. Number 2 is dog shit. Yeah.
It's like the 2 series. The first one starts amazing, and then they go, "Ooh, we don't know what to do anymore." Yeah. Yay! So yeah,
there's a lot of bad Halloween movies, and those 2 aren't the worst. I've got to say that.
No. Halloween Ends is the worst Halloween movie.
It's crazy that Halloween Ends has like left a worse taste in people's mouths than like Halloween 6. That just
I'll watch H2O before I'll watch Halloween
exactly right.
It's so bad. And like I've all my Twitter this week, not to go on a big tangent, but all my Twitter this week is people trying to like mansplain the meaning of Halloween Ends. I don't care. It's terrible. They done it wrong.
They're coping.
But back to
the raid. Roger, he's the raid is going on. People are getting killed. You have like this. I think it's like a husband and wife. Like the wife opens the door and the husband's there, and he just like takes a fucking bite out of her, and it's so visceral.
It's so visceral. Just a chunk comes up out of her shoulder and then out of her arm. Like it literally looks like it's coming right off the bone. It's really well done.
It's so gross. How did he do this? Tom Savini, he just apparently it's like almost in the moment he would figure out how to do something, and then if it doesn't work, he'd do something else and he'd just make it work.
Wow.
And Tom Savini and Giorgio Romero are just the ultimate combination, right? Yeah. None of these movies could have worked without the pair of them.
No, you think about anybody else in their roles, like directing and like doing makeup and the prosthetics and everything like that. The effects.
This pair were just incredible together. I need to watch the movie Night Riders because that's the pairing again. I've not seen that one. So Roger. Oh, so I keep getting ahead of myself. The zombies are fucking blue.
Blue. Yeah.
Apparently, Tom Savini made them up grey. Yeah, but in the different lighting throughout the movie, they come out blue or green or white or grey. You know, like it's just always different. And this is their first time doing zombies in color because they did them in black and white previously. So they didn't really know how they were supposed to look as well.
There's a documentary, I don't know if you watched it, called The Dead Will Walk. And when Tom Savini's asked about like why did they look like that, he's like, I tried to make them grey to look like we did in the first movie, to be like a reference to the black and white, but then when we had the bad lighting, it ended up looking blue.
Yeah.
So he said if anything was to be changed about it, he'd change what they did with the makeup.
Yeah. So Roger runs away. He's like, fuck this, right?
They're hitting the raid. Wooly's having the time of his life.
Oh my gosh. Sorry.
He's kicking in doors and he's just shooting nonchalantly. He's just blasting rooms.
Wooly is the name of the racist cop.
Yeah.
And so My notes for this were from my US cut watch.
Okay.
So anything I've tried to fill in notes from my other cut watch as well. But anything I missed, just correct me on. Wooly in the US cut, not the extended cut. He doesn't have this scene. He doesn't have as many scenes.
Okay.
Because he's not really a needed character. But the fucking moment, what does it say? They're like, not that door, not that door. And he walks through the door and just instantly gets shot.
Yeah.
Is it a cop that shoots him as well? I can't remember.
It's the gas mask wearing cop that we'll talk about later.
Yeah, he's a fort. Well, he's indiscriminately he's laughing, he's cackling to himself. Does
the gas mask cop shoot him to stop him from going around murdering more people?
Yeah,
I think that's more clear in the novel. Novelization.
In the cut I watch, he's told not that there's he gets to the last door. And he's told not that door, and he kicks it in, and we get a glimpse of it before he's shot, and it's just it's more of a death. It's just literally it's a body that has been eaten.
It's mauled, yeah.
It's been mauled, yeah. And then Wooly just gets absolutely blasted.
Good, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy, honestly.
Fuck that guy.
He said the N-word earlier, so he deserved to die.
Yeah, 100%. He just dropped a whole lot of slurs, and he was far too excited to be part of this raid. You don't want law enforcement, huh? You don't want people like that in law enforcement.
So fucking prescient. He knows his shit.
Yeah, he knew. But the raid concludes. Everyone just is brushing through. And that's where Roger kind of takes off a little bit. Here he goes to kind of light up a cigarette because you need something after that.
He bumps into Peter.
Yes.
I adore Peter. Do you guys have favorite characters in this? Because now we've seen all four of our favorite characters.
We've been introduced. Well,
Peter is our gas mask cop as well.
He is. Yeah. He is.
Oh, is he?
Right. Because when he walks into me,
you see him take off the gas mask, right?
Yeah. So he's the same guy that shoots.
That makes so much sense for his character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Favorite character? It's definitely not Steven anyway.
It's not Steven.
It's Peter for me. It's Peter for me. Easily.
Peter for me. I love Roger and Peter's friendship. Their bromance. This is such an incredible friendship on screen. The chemistry is so good. Bex, who's your favorite?
I like Peter as well. Peter carries this. He's so good.
Peter's brilliant, isn't he? So
he's amazing.
When they were
He's a very tall dude too.
When they were trying to find funding for the film, they talked to American International Pictures, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll fund the movie, but we want O.J. Simpson to play this part."
Oh.
What? O.J. Simpson? He couldn't kill a fly.
Violence? He's not capable of that. He can't even act out violence.
If you guys didn't know, George Romero, before he was making movies, he made a lot of commercials, right?
Uh-huh.
And he made a documentary about O.J. Simpson before O.J. Simpson did his big murders. So he had worked with him, or he was going to work with him in future. I don't know when the documentary came out, but the juice was loose, too loose.
For legal reasons. Alleged murder.
He's dead now. I think we could just say it.
He definitely did it.
Man released the box in, if I did it, Man did it.
That's for I know podcast listeners, there's a lot of them that love true crime, so people probably know. Yeah, fucking wild. But George was like, no, I don't want a big name lead. So he didn't go with O.J. Simpson, and the movie's better for it. So fantastic.
Could you imagine if he did cast him now, right? And you looking back on this movie, it would just be so hard to enjoy. I watched
the Naked Gun recently, the Naked Gun movie, and he's there, and it's
awkward.
Fucking weird,
We watched it a couple of months back, and literally from the minute he it opens with him climbing on a boat, and I'm like, oh my god, no! Watching OJ,
it's fucked up.
It's so bad,
and he's like the comedic relief.
OJ was a weird man.
That's what a Miley,
So the Is this when the priest comes through
Yes.
the door?
Yeah.
Like this whole section, until we kind of hit the titular mall, it's all quite neatly packed. It's like neatly paced. It's all very, very linear. I don't have a whole lot of notes for this.
Yeah, that's fair. Me neither. Did you guys notice the priest had one leg?
Yeah,
Yes.
I really want to know what happened there. That'd be really cool. Like little stories to know. Like, was it normal? Was it a zombie golem?
I'm thinking, but then I suppose we're so like you said, this happens 3 weeks after, or no, it doesn't. We're actually, this is an unspecified time frame, but maybe by now people have realized that, you know, biting, and if you are bitten and survive, I don't know if the news station covers any of that or any of the characters
Like
reference
cutting off limbs to try and stop.
Yeah.
Then to counter that, a character later on who's in bed could have done the same thing and they never did.
True.
Well, he
So I
got
don't
bitten
know.
quite a bit, that guy.
He got one on forearm and on leg. They could have done something if they did.
I
that was
don't
the
think
thing.
so. Especially, I don't think so.
I've seen enough that like any bites like that is especially on arms.
Remember the Telltale games of the Walking
exactly.
Dead?
Remember Lee? Remember our protagonist? Yeah.
So the priest comes in and he's giving the dead their last rites, you know?
Yeah.
And,
he is. He's stored them in his basement.
And he tells our two SWAT protagonists to do with them as they will.
Yeah.
And
he gives them a tip off.
Yeah. And then they go and they find a room full of zombies.
Yeah. Just
Roger,
chilling.
why do these people keep them here?
Oh, great line.
Peter, because they still believe there's respect in dying.
Yeah.
I love that line.
And then they take them out. You know, they just
start blasting.
shooting. They start blasting.
Yeah.
And this whole area, they're going lower and lower into the building, right?
Yeah. And
it's like, well, you put your analytical mind on, they're going into the different layers of hell, you know, and it gets worse and worse and worse.
Descending, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. The action in this, the head exploding, the zombies eating people, the police versus the Puerto Ricans, you know, like.
Yeah. And this is the 20-minute mark. Like by now, it's so visceral, you know. It's very,
that's it. 20 minutes in,
it's not shying away from anything. Like people are getting headshotted. You're seeing just the heads explode, like the reactions, everything like that. It's all very.
So I don't know if this was in the American cut, but I remember that they then have like a conversation, Roger and Peter's like, yo, I've got a friend with a helicopter. You want to come? No, Roger's like, I got a friend with a helicopter. You want to come with? Peter's like, yeah, let's go. So that's just not there. And then something that's also in the extended that's not in the US cut is when we cut to Fran and Steven, they are arriving at the gas station, I'm pretty sure, in the extended cut. Whereas in the US theatrical cut, they're just already filling up the helicopter. So, you miss that moment. And I think in the US cut as well, it's Peter and Roger arriving.
Right.
They're just there. Whereas in the extended cut, you're almost like a bit scared because they can see a car is coming, but they don't know who it is. They're worried and they have to get ready. Yeah. So the extended cut has a bit more tension in this scene.
Yeah.
And then the other police come and they're stealing fuel for their boat. What they want to do is they want to get on a boat and get to an island.
Yeah.
And they're like, what island? And they just go, any island, you know?
Yeah, anything will do.
And what Dario did when he did his cut of this movie, he has cut out the goofy cop. You know, he's he's a bit cross-eyed and he's doing like a funny face and he talks a bit weird. And because it's just very odd, but I love that guy. And when watching the commentary, or listening to the commentary, George A. Romero is just like, yeah, I didn't tell him to act like that. He just brought that himself. And there's a really funny scene where that goofy cop asks them if they have any cigarettes, and they all say no, and then they all light up a cigarette.
They lied.
They lied to him.
And lied to the goofball.
That's not in the Dario cut either. That's not in the Italian cut either. But I think that's really cool. It kind of shows, even in these moments of like great peril and everything, people are still really selfish assholes. You know,
for something so petty as cigarettes.
That's a cigarette,
Yeah.
Our four protagonists, all of them lied. You know?
Yeah.
So you've got Stephen. So he flies the helicopter for the local news. They meet up with Peter and Roger as more police come and tensions rise a bit. The cops are stealing a boat to get out of the city. The goofiest looking police officer asks if they've got any cigarettes, blah, blah, blah.
They all lie.
And I was also talking about, like, I was thinking about how the boat to any island, that is what they do in the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, they get the boat to the island. And we know what happens there.
We do.
So they get to flying, and this is almost like a callback to the original Night of the Living Dead, where they're flying over these fields and you see these posses and the military, the rednecks sweeping the fields, like just killing anything they see.
Yeah.
And they're just having a great time.
Yeah.
And apparently they actually asked the National Guard and they just came with all of their tanks. They didn't have to pay them or anything. They were just excited to be in a movie.
So they just shut up with the tanks.
Yeah, and there's this amazing shot of like 3 zombies walking over a hill, and that it's so good. I love that shot, and it's like the sun's just coming up, or it's going down. It's coming up, right?
Coming up, yeah.
Yeah, that's a
nice callback. The posse's just like walking through the field, just like in a single line, just like clearing through.
They all look like they're having a great time. Apparently, everybody was having a great time as well. So,
just excited to be in a movie environment. That, I mean, I can understand that. Here is my first of my many. I've just got a fuck Steven counter. Because
you have a fuck Steven counter.
I have, yeah.
It's your namesake, you know.
Wait, Steve, before you get into that, is this back in the helicopter?
Yes.
Before we get to that, right, I have 2 things to mention about the community gathering together, right? The music that's playing in the background keeps saying, because I'm a man, and it's a bunch of men just shooting a bunch of zombies. It's really like, you know, all American.
Yeah.
And I have to point out a mistake in the movie.
Oh.
There is a part where there's a handful of zombies. I think it's 3 of them are stood beside a car. The camera cuts to 2 or 3 people lying on the grass getting ready to shoot the car to explode. And when it cuts back, there's no zombies stood there, and the car blows up.
Oh,
nothing was killed by that car blowing up.
It's just a very quick cut, you know? Quick cut.
Continuity error. Simple.
I've seen it.
Yeah. It's cinema trickery is what that is.
Cinema trickery. Yeah. So my fuck Steven counter is, at one stage he's flying the helicopter, right? And he's dozing off. And Peter literally has to kick his chair to wake him back up.
God, that's not in the US cut.
Yeah, that is terrible. And I can imagine that was probably left in the extended for the comedic effect, but I would not be laughing if that was me and my pilot was dozing off as he was flying.
I don't think that's okay. I just traveled to Barcelona and I was solo. I was going by myself, so I didn't feel comfortable sleeping. You know, when you travel with other people, you can like take naps and take shifts. I stayed up for like 30 hours before I could even get into the apartment I was staying at. And I was like micro napping. You know, I closed my eyes and I opened them up and I'm like, whoa, how long was I asleep for? It must be very difficult. The idea is that they have been up for so long.
They've been fighting this. They've been trying to survive. Yeah. Right.
The issue is, he is the only one who knows how to fly the helicopter, and holy shit, that could get you guys killed.
Actually, I'll be generous then with that. What's that sort of kind of explanation? It'll only be half a point then. It's not a full point.
You write that down in your notepads.
Yes, I've scribbled to one. Franny's. I was going to just say Franny's talking to. They're talking about loss as well, and I guess this might not be in the theatrical cut either. They're talking about who they've lost. Like Franny says she's lost an ex-husband. Stephen is like, I've lost an ex-wife. And then they have Peter just pop up and say, I've lost some brothers. And he doesn't elaborate at all. And then on like Franny just being the atypical, I guess, stereotypical 70s, like maybe Caucasian lady. She might be a little bit ignorant, but she doesn't mean to be. She's like, oh, some brothers? Like, is she like real or street brothers? And I'm like, at that point, I was just like, oh.
That's a very Curb Your Enthusiasm moment right there.
Yeah, she's asked, and he kind of plays it off as like he's lost both, but It's another thing that they probably cut out when they tightened it up.
Yeah, it's not there in the theatrical cut. But I think that's a good character moment as well. I think
it is.
The issue with the Dario cut and the theatrical cut is they both have better pacing in some aspects, but you leave out a lot of these cool character moments. And some of the themes, you don't quite get them as well as you do in the extended version or the mall fan cut that I was talking about. So they land in the countryside at like a private airport, right? And last time when we were talking about how these farms had like fuel pumps, and I was like, that's a thing that exists. I looked it up for this one. I was listening to the commentary of Zombie. That's the European cut. And in the commentary for that, they have the director of photography, Michael Gornick, and the assistant cameraman, Tom Dubensky. And they're talking about how after World War II, a lot of pilots settled down there. And they wanted to keep flying, right? So that's why a lot of these private like farmlands have tiny little airports.
Okay.
It's because the pilots wanted to keep flying after the war. You know, they got a feel for it, so they needed fuel. So that's why that exists. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. If we hadn't been doing this podcast, I would have never known that was
dope, actually.
So a lot goes on here, and I don't really have my notes, I think, in the correct order because there's a lot of like cut scenes.
It cuts around the 4 characters, each kind of doing different things.
Yeah, and the theatrical cut it misses some things out. Whereas, so fill me in if I miss anything. But I'm just going to go ahead. Peter comes across these two kids, right? When he's
searching a little building, a little shacker,
and he fonzies himself a drink out of that machine. It's out of order. He punches it, and a little drink just drops out.
Oh, he does, yeah.
Very nice, very cool. And the Italian version, I don't know if it's so he shoots the kids, right?
Little zombie kids appear, and he tosses them first. He's literally just picking these kids up.
That's what Ben did when when he threw the little girl and then runs into the basement, whereas Peter throws them and then he's like, oh, they're still gonna come at me. So he just shoots them. And they were played by Tom Savini's niece and nephew. And I wrote that the similarity there between Ben and Peter, they were mates in real life. So when
the 2 actors.
Yeah. So shit, what's is it Ken Ford? What's his name?
The actor plays Peter.
Yeah. Anyway, he phoned up Dwayne Jones and he was like, yo, I've got this part in Dawn of the Dead. And
Ken Foree, Ken Foree.
And Dwayne was like, oh, say hi to George for me, you know? That's so nice. Because, what a cool connection.
That's true.
These 2 guys just happen to know each other. So he shoots them. And in the Italian version, the shot goes on for way longer than in the US cut. I noticed the US cut it's not there as much.
No, it's a quick little the cut or the extended what I watch. He proper just like he shoots him. He shoots him quite a few times. Just gets rid of them. Then he's cornered. He gets himself into a little bit of bother because he's cornered. The zombie kind of comes in through the main entrance. Like it's the only way in and out that we can see. And that's when Steven shows up, and this is the second fuck Steven point he gets, and that's he does it quite. There's a few points he gets, but this is
to Steven. He's trying to help. He's not being an asshole on purpose. These characters are not assholes for assholes' sake, and they're not assholes for plot's sake. These are very real situations. He's like, oh shit, Peter's gonna die. I need to shoot this gun, but I don't know how to shoot guns. And luckily, Roger comes in and shoots the gun for him, you know? But the zombie that has cornered Peter here is God, every time I say Peter, I think of Family Guy. Peter.
Hey, Peter. The horse is here.
So
the zombie that comes up is actually the poster zombie.
Yes. Because I remember seeing that the prosthetics is great again on this zombie.
They're fantastic. I don't know why they went for this zombie as the poster. I mean, I guess it is quite a shocking look, but this is this is what they went for anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So Roger like fucking knocks the gun away from Flyboy and gets the headshot. And Peter is so fucking pissed. In the theatrical cut, there's a few differences here. This seems to be where they trimmed a lot of the fat for the theatrical release compared to the extended release. So Peter comes and like, does he knock Steven to the ground, and he aims his gun at him, and he's like, "How do you like it?" Right?
Yeah, he says, "Never aim your gun at anyone," and then he proclaims, "Scary, isn't it?" Like when he's aiming it down at him.
So you've got that, and in the theatrical cut, it then cuts there, but in the extended cut, you have Fran. Wait, is it Fran or is it
Steven's
Peter?
tackled down to the ground?
Yes.
Who picks him up? Who picks him back up?
I only have it here that Steven gets tackled down while Fran's just kind of frozen. I don't even know who's picked him up.
I don't think it's Roger, because Roger's back. I think
Peter maybe then offers him a hand and picks him back up. Is that in the extended version? Because that is like, okay, we're still all right though. You know,
we're still good.
Made a mistake, but we're still all right. But in the US cut, it's just left there.
Yeah,
that he pushed him to the ground. That's pretty cool. There's a moment, I don't know if it's before this or after this, where Fran she's like a zombie's coming after her.
Yeah.
And Georgia Romero wanted her to scream and be like, "Oh no, save me." And the actress, what's her name? Galen Ross, she was like, "I'm not screaming.
Oh.
I'm not doing it." And it was like, to make the character not just the scaredy woman, you know, like in the first movie, the damsel in distress, she's like, "I'm not doing it."
Fair.
So George was like, "All right, okay, cool."
All right.
I think it works better, and she doesn't come across like Barbara in the first movie, where she's
she always needs to be protected,
gone completely. At least she's able, like, even if she's frozen up here and she's not made noise, she seems a little bit more competent than like Barbara was in the first movie when she started to freeze up.
She's way more a member of the group. You know, they do it a lot better in this movie. She's actually part of the group. There are scenes later where they leave her out, but they have like reason to, and we'll get into that when the time comes. Where are my notes?
Best kill in the movie.
Yeah, Peter saves Steven, and then there's a zombie that we've seen for a couple of scenes now. He's been edging ever closer. Roger's back, and he's fueling up the helicopter.
I don't think this is in the Dario cut either, right?
No,
but you've got the zombies walking towards Roger, who's filling up the helicopter, and the blades are going.
He can't hear anything, because of the sound of the engine, the propellers.
Sound of the blades, and the zombie kind of climbs up these boxes, and then he just gets his head grated off, right?
Yeah, it just clean chop, and it's dope. It looks dope. Roger's just he got lucky there. He wasn't even paying attention, but obviously he couldn't hear anything. But that's a sick visceral effect.
It's such a cool effect. The way they did that was they built his head up. He was already a guy with a very tall head, and was he a guy with a very small head? So they could build it up. I can't remember. Anyway,
and I know they've added 2 inches to the top of his head.
They added extra length to his forehead.
Yeah,
and it was basically Tom Savini kind of ran with like a wire, and that unraveled. Or he got a guy to run with the wire, and that unraveled the head, which made it look like it was being taken off by the blades. And they had 2 guys squirting blood out from behind him. You know,
that's dope.
It's just so cool. The ingenuity of Tom Savini, you know, how he figures out how to get things done. And they added the helicopter blade in post. So that was, they didn't have the guy walk up against a live helicopter blade, you know?
Yeah. Oh.
Crouch a little here and just be careful.
Method acting. I just want you to stand really close, but not too close though.
But again, maybe this and the head explosion from earlier was preparation for what the final scene was going to be, you know?
Yeah.
So they get back in the helicopter. They're flying about, and they fly over the Pittsburgh Mall.
Yep.
What the hell is it? What the hell is it? One of the characters says. And that's because malls were a pretty new thing in the 70s, apparently. You know?
It's an unknown commodity.
Yeah, it was like... Yeah. So in the early 70s, it was like a new thing. And like George's mates owning this mall was a big thing, you know? And now in 2024, nearly all of the malls in my area are closed down or failing. You know, it's not really a thing anymore. We got online shopping.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like our big shopping center in the center of my city, most of the shops are closed there now. It's a dying breed, a mall. But for a while there, the mall was just the place to be. There's one of my favorite TV show, like kids TV shows growing up, was a show called 16.
Okay.
And that's a bunch of teens who chill in the mall every day. I'm pretty sure it's by the same like team who did Total Drama Island, which is also fucking awesome. It's got the same voice cast anyway. And they have an incredible zombie dream episode that's basically just their rendition of Dawn of the Dead. And that's one of my favorite versions of Dawn of the Dead, because Dawn of the Dead has been done in everything. The Simpsons has probably done an episode. Didn't they do an episode where like Bart and what's he called? The guy with the blue hair?
Millhouse.
I always called him Mildred. Damn. Don't they get stuck in the mall overnight?
I think there's a couple of references. I know there's one shot I have it wrote down here. There's like I don't know if it's from a Halloween episode or not, but it's a bunch of old people just pressed up against the glass, and it like replicates a shot that's in this film.
They just want to get in. Yeah.
But I can't remember if it's a Halloween episode or not.
I just remember a reference in every one of our podcasts, guys. They've done every movie.
Yeah,
The Simpsons.
We love The Simpsons.
Yeah,
we did. Yeah.
Well, I used to.
Yeah.
So they land on top of the building, and they decide to check out the shopping center through like the skylights roof, the roof skylights. And we can the group of survivors. What did I say? If the group of survivors can secure the building and clear the dead, they've hit the jackpot. You know, they find that the offices that are below them have like tons of rations in.
Yeah,
and they're thinking about all the shops they can loot.
Yep.
And all right, a little bit of background on the making of this. Now we're in the mall. So they were allowed to film from 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. every morning, because the mall was actually in use during the day. They didn't shut down the mall ever. Like they were filming all of this while the mall was actively a mall. Right?
Yeah.
It wasn't just a set. So they would have to spend hours building up their sets and stuff. And then they would have to spend hours at the end tidying everything up. And
after the chaos,
I'll get more into that a bit later. I've wrote more notes later along down the line. But yeah, there's a part where, so they get into the mall now, and they're in the offices.
Yep.
And Fran looks at like a can of Spam, and she just says Spam, and she's so disappointed, right? and Roger asks if she brought a can opener with her.
Yeah.
She's like, no, and he's like, well, don't knock it because it's got its own key.
Actually.
I've never heard of like a can pull called a key before, but
no, exactly.
That's quite a funny little part. And then something else I noted is that everybody in this movie smokes.
Yeah.
They're all constantly lighting up cigarettes, cigars.
Yeah.
I would totally do that at the end of the world as well. I'd just be
you need something
smoking all the time.
Calm yourself down. Yeah, I can imagine like it's
I watched that movie that came out recently on the survivors of the Andes plane crash, you know, the rugby team that crashed in the Andes. And also cannibalism, you know, they had to...
Society of the Snow.
They had to... Yeah. Well, I don't think it's technically called cannibalism. Anyway, they had to, like, eat each other to survive, like, eat the dead. But when the plane crashed, one of the bags they found was just full of, like, duty-free cigarettes or something. So they had infinite cigarettes. So they were just smoking the entire time because there's nothing else to do. So
yeah.
Absolutely. I'd be on that. And we start to see Roger and Peter's bromance bloom.
Blossom, yeah.
Yeah, they decide, hey, yo, we're going to go loot. And Fran's like, yo, but what about Steven? And he's just like passed out in the corner because he's so tired. And they're like, yo, fuck Steven, let's go.
Exactly, yeah.
They find an office in the boiler room. And this is where they get walkie-talkies. They get the keys to the shops. They find a switchboard with the control panel for the power of the mall, and they got the goofy stock mall music that they can switch on to distract the zombies. And again, George Romero, he just shows, like, there's never a moment in a George Romero movie where you're like, well, how did they get that? There's no inconsistencies in terms of like what the characters are doing and what they're able to do. You can see everything. Everything is built up properly, you know. Mm-hmm. No cut corners there, and that's really dope. And then we get like all of these shots of the different zombies all over the mall, you know,
falling over each other.
It's so
amazed by escalators.
Yeah, using the escalators.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite mall zombie? Because mine's the Hare Krishna zombie. He's so cool.
I love a big boy that shows up later. He's shirtless. And he
shirtless big boy. He's great. He's great.
He's my favorite. I love him.
The guy that takes there's a guy that takes a serious tumble and he just lands in like the pond, like, you know, where you like throw in your coins.
That's the big guy we're talking about, right? He proper.
No, this guy has like clothes on, and just one shot of him after this montage of Peter and Roger.
He's the guy who's picking up coins in the fountain.
He's just sitting in the fountain, just picking up coins.
There's a later guy I love, the guy that I like, the guy that's holding the assault rifle towards his own face.
Oh yeah.
He's my favorite. I love him. He's just around amazed with his assault rifle looking at himself.
That guy is so cool, and that is setting up Day of the Dead, actually, now that I think about it, and setting up Land of the Dead, your favorite, Steve.
Yeah.
This movie's got so much more humor than Night of the Living Dead. You know, it's really cartoony seeing all the zombies drunkenly staggering up escalators and past shops and like bumping into each other and stuff. And apparently, like, George would say that he would never give too much direction on how to become a zombie, because then everybody kind of does it the same way and it doesn't look as natural. You do see that with a lot of zombie TV shows where they bring in zombie coaches to like coach people how to be a zombie. But this is like the beginning of the zombie genre, I suppose. So everybody's just doing what their idea of a zombie is. And they're a lot more loose with it, and it's very fun. I like it a lot. It's very fun. You know, if you ever see how The Walking Dead was made, they've got like groups of 30 people all doing an impression of a zombie with like a guy at the front of them, you know, training them.
And it's some of the cringiest stuff ever. Like, it really is. Watching a bunch of people audition to be a zombie is worse than watching a show about zombies.
Drama. If you ever did drama class, it is cringy, right? But you've got to get through the cringe to give us some artwork, you know? So.
Yeah. You got to get through all that behind the scenes stuff, like the prep.
Yeah.
There's just a good little conversation between, again, establishing their kind of bromance. I think Roger's asking Peter what's going on with them, or why did they behave like that, or why are they here? And Peter mentions that or I don't know now. I only know it's about, like, just in quotations, like it's the instinct, it's memory of who they once were. I don't know then if this is Peter telling Roger that, or is that like the radio transmission that's talking about that people who have died still hold on to some kind of like instincts. Some memory of their previous life.
I think it's the radio or something.
Radio then, okay.
Yeah, there's a radio thing kind of explaining how they're able to lift up tools and use tools.
Yeah. Okay.
These our two SWAT team protagonists, Roger and Peter. These guys are not scared of zombies.
No.
And it's so early into the apocalypse, and they're just like, they know that the zombies are dumb, and they're just running circles around the dead or the undead. You know, like they know how to deal with this shit. They're very well prepared, and you would want like guys like these two, or maybe more Peter than Roger, but you know, on your team if you were in a zombie apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And they start acting like little kids, you know. They've got free reign of the place, like, woo, lighter fluid, woo, chocolate, you know.
Yeah.
Flyboy wakes up and he's all like, oh fuck, I gotta go find the boys, and he's walking around the boiler room, and this is one of the most fucking cartoony,
this is a new
shots
counter
in the whole
he's got another point for this one.
So he's walking around the boiler room, and the zombie's like, he knows there's a zombie around there because he can hear the echoing around, and he just starts shooting. And the shots ping and they bounce, and it's like an old cowboy. It's like an old Western movie, you know. It's like poo, 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 poo. It's so goofy, and the ricochet sound effect is real cheesy. Does the zombie like grabs him?
Yeah, it's a lone zombie in that boiler room, and he's kind of like trying to just stake out where it is, and then he moves on further, and he lets his guard down, and immediately gets grabbed.
We've got our two protagonists just wrecking a bunch of zombies, and then you've got him by himself.
Like Peter's laying them out with kicks and punches. Like, he's straight up punching these zombies.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't care. And you have Steven with one singular zombie, and he's armed. Like, Steven's armed, and he's just struggling to.
Right after the scene, Peter throws a zombie to the fucking ground floor over the banister, you know?
He just lifts it up and just tosses it. It's fantastic.
Anyway, he gets the shot off and he kills him in the end once he gets his ammo right. And then God, the camera loves the Hare Krishna zombie. We get more close-ups of him. Apparently, like, you know, they did up a bunch of people as different zombies, and George was just like enamored. He was like in awe of this Hare Krishna zombie. And we've got Flyboy is about to shoot a zombie that's tackling Peter. But he's like, no, I'm not going to make this mistake again. So he decides not to do it. Also, the as I said before, they're running circles around the zombies, and I wrote, it makes you wonder how so many people turned. You know, if it's this easy,
if you could just run them around, give them the loop. Like,
we've got the scene where like Steven's in the corridor and Roger's like, Peter's like telling him to come down the corridor, just run past them.
And he's ducking and diving, zigzagging. He's got the goofiest. Anyone notice that? Steven has this like really weird form when he runs. His like head is like looking up at the sky. He's lifting his knees. He's like, go back and look at some of his frames where he runs. Man has got it's an efficient run.
He's played by David Emge. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And he's such a great physical actor.
Yes,
he is good. We'll find out even more about his physical acting later.
Like he really does. He puts his all into his running. Like, I was confused at the beginning. There's a bit here, right? So they're in a singular store at one point, or they spend a lot of time. This is like their little distraction technique, where they'll go to the bottom of the store.
No, bang on the glass
to draw them to that part, and then they'll run all their like things through the top level back to where they're holed up. And I'm disappointed in myself. It took me so long to understand what the plan was here, but it clicked then, and I was like, oh, how did I not think of that? But it's a good little strategy that they have as soon, because they're setting down their roots. And
right off the bat, they know what to do as well. They're using the ventilation shaft, I think, to get around as well. They're doing that because they found like the map of all the in the
where it runs through and everything like that. Yeah, no, they get the walkie-talkies, they get the keys, they power up the mall. They found their kind of like their safest passage around the mall. The boys are efficient. Like, Peter and Roger have it sorted. Like, within 30 minutes of arriving at the mall, like in their time, not in terms of movie. It's condensed to like 5-10 minutes.
We get the scene where they're are they in a tool shop? Or are they running past like a bunch of like mannequins? And a zombie grabs Roger, right? And it takes him to the floor, and they want to shoot him, but they can't because they're afraid they'll hit Roger. And this is like This is one of Tom Savini's ideas. He was like, he came up to George and he's like, "Hey, can we screwdriver a guy in the head? Can I screwdriver a guy to death?" And George was like, "All right, okay, let's film that."
Tom. Yeah.
So
Knock
he's
yourself
got
out.
like, and they used this scene to fix a continuity error where Roger had a jacket around his waist, and then in the next shot he didn't have it. So they put this in between, and this is the zombie actually like is attached to his jacket. So when he screwdrivers him, he takes his jacket off, and that's how they fixed that. But yeah, they just had like a retractable screwdriver. Tom Savini, all of these things are like things you would get as a little kid in like a magazine, you know?
Yeah.
Like I remember I had like a Ghostface knife back in the day that would retract, so it looked like you're stabbing somebody, you know, for Halloween. Whoa!
Did you have the classic bleeding Ghostface mask as well?
I had the classic bleeding Ghostface mask.
Of course,
but now
everybody
goes for
had
so
one.
much money. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's really, really ridiculous.
You would have the pump. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
You would have the pump, and that would pump the blood through. So this is like all of the tricks that Tom Savini either came up with or like he had, you know?
Yeah.
And he puts that in the guy's ear, and there's a blood pack in there, and that just fills up the ear with blood. And it's so cool, so dope. They shot this movie in 2 halves because they didn't want to have to take down all the Christmas decorations and then put them back up again every night during the December time. So they took December off, and they shot most of the script prior to in the first half, and then in the second half they were a lot more flexible. So that's when they came up with all of these creative ideas for zombie kills. You know, because they had time to play around with all this stuff. Apparently it was very fucking cold filming, but you can see in all of the behind the scenes stuff that even though it's so cold, everybody's just excited to be doing a zombie George Romero Dawn of the Dead movie, you know? So that's really nice. We spoke about shitty directors in the past. George, so far, one of the nicest guys. Lovely bear. The Hare Krishna zombie makes its way up the stairs to Francine.
So blue.
And he's very blue. And the boys left fucking Francine by herself.
Yeah.
And did they leave her with a gun?
No.
I don't think so, right?
No, she asks for a gun after. Yeah. No.
Yeah. What the fuck, boys? Fucking... What are they doing? This is a fuck all the boys moment here, doing that.
Yeah,
the fuck all boys point here. Yeah.
add another one to Stephen just for leaving her alone.
Just an extra one. Yeah.
So yeah, the Hare Krishna is trying to get does she use like a flare or something to try and
it's warded off, and it's a nice continuity. That's I don't know if if they use it they use it one more time in this movie, but it's just it's another nice callback to
Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
they do it later on. They use like I don't know, it's like a big Bunsen burner or something. They're waving around to stop the zombies because zombies in this don't like fire.
Yeah.
And then she's like climbing up the ladder and it's crawling at her, and then the boys get there just in time and they shoot it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get the TV working, and Peter, you can always tell that he's thinking, right? There's always thoughts going on, and it's brilliant acting. And he notices that Fran looks sick, and Flyboy then tells them that she's pregnant, right? And then we get this moment where like Fran is like in another room, kind of away from them, and they don't think she can hear them, but she can, and she overhears Peter being like, "Hey, do you want to abort it?" And he's like, "I know how to abort it." And it's like they're not painted in a good light having this conversation without Francine involved, and she's not happy about this. And the novelization goes like way more in depth about how she feels about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and is this where she sets up her boundaries, and she's like,
she wants to be
from
included.
Now on,
yeah.
You're not treating me like the woman in the kitchen. I want in on all the plans. I want to learn how to fly the helicopter in case something happens to Steven, and you're gonna give me a gun next time you all leave, you know? She takes charge of it, and that's pretty cool. We've got the guy in the TV in the background explaining how the zombies are dumb.
But they still hold some semblance of like
these
instinct
creatures
or
are
the
pure
subconscious
motorized instinct.
motorized instinct on a subconscious instinctive level.
Yeah, this is actually all said by the guy from the scientist from the Crazies. If you've watched the
original
Crazies.
I've seen the remake.
Oh, the
original was really good too.
The remake's pretty cool. Is that Thomas Jane in that?
Timothy Olyphant.
Oh, it's Timothy. Oh, I always get them confused. Yeah. He's real cool in that. But yeah, the original is awesome. It's less. The Crazies remake is a lot more like, oh, these are zombies now. Whereas the original is like, these are just guys who have gone insane. You know, they're crazy.
Something in the water sort of thing. Yeah.
It's very MK Ultra. There really is something in the water.
Like this whole section is just it's all just very linear, isn't it? It's all very just kind of like it's very it's very like one note, kind of like very fast paced, isn't it? There's not like Beckham. Is there anything that you picked up there?
I've just the whole like TV rant, because we've mentioned already that they're explaining what's actually going on with the zombies, that they're a little bit stupid, but they can be. It's like them being able to use the tools is kind of primitive. It's like animalistic in them, that they're able to pull up tools. They're able to like they're dumb, but they know that to not eat each other as well. They're not cannibals. They're different. It's kind of explained with the TV on in the background. And that's basically all the notes I had here for this piece.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot either. It's all very easy to say, excuse the pun, but it's very easy to digest all these notes.
I think that's why these movies work so well in other countries as well, because they're just so straightforward.
So straightforward, so easy to follow. Like
when I was watching it in Japanese, the Japanese stuff. I mean, I've seen the movie a bunch of times, so I know what they're saying and I know what's happening. But I was like, I could probably have watched this and understood what was going on here. You know, it just makes sense. It's like watching Fury Road. You know, it's just like forward. You know.
Yeah, and it was very. It was in a weird way. It was kind of like it's a nice. That's why I enjoyed the movie so much. It's just like. Yeah, we have our weeks where we can really go into scenes and we can really like talk about perceptions, elaborations, like what was the context behind it. But these movies they're just so you know they keep the ball rolling and
they work as an action movie as well as a horror movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Zack Snyder's, I would argue, even more is an action movie. First than a horror movie. And then your different cuts of this turn it into more of an action movie or more of a horror movie. The guy from the Crazies, I've got it in my head canon. That's the same guy, right?
He's the eye patch guy, isn't he? He's the
eye patch guy. They also talk about how the scientists can't get live specimens to do their experiments, and those scientists are based in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And that is where the scientists in The Walking Dead are, right? That's where they go to The Walking Dead, right? I'm pretty sure in that first season, anyway.
Yeah.
So I was like, ooh, more Walking Dead paying homage there, maybe.
They also mentioned that they can't make a vaccine. They can't figure it out to cure the zombie disease, as it doesn't react like a viral disease does. I think they've done. That's literally all I have written there, is that they just talk about if they can cure it with a vaccine that works on viral diseases, and the guy that doesn't have the eye patch says that it's basically been figured out that that's impossible. Yeah.
The music. All right, where are we going? So this is now they're going to go and do more of their plan. They're going to get a bunch of trucks because there's a truck depot, and they're going to block off the outside of the mall. So the zombies, no more zombies can get in, basically.
No more zombies can get in.
Because zombies keep appearing at the mall. They keep walking towards the mall.
Yeah.
And the music in the US cut is really jolly. It's real funny.
Yeah. During the truck scene?
Yeah. And
the extended one was as well, too.
It was.
It was a little bit weird and jolly as well, showing up towards the truck station.
The goblin music is very weird.
Yeah.
and very dark compared to the this library music that George Romero had. It gives the movie much lighter tone in the American versions, the extended versions. So Roger, we get to see his big character flaw here. And that it's, he has too much belief in himself. He is so cocky.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was first watching this, I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you like this? This is stupid. But yeah, he just kind of believes that like him and Roger are both like kind of military-esque. Sorry, Roger and Peter are both quite military-esque, and Peter is a lot more like serious, whereas Roger is just like, yeah, we can do this. We're invincible. We're gonna get him. We're gonna whip him. We're gonna whip him. You know?
Yeah.
And he's shouting like yeehaw! And like what? It's like what the fuck happened? But yeah, it's just because he's so excited because they've made it this far. You know, he feels like he can do anything. He keeps putting himself in stupid ass situations.
When he jumps out of the truck and he's getting ready to go into Peter's truck, what's with that zombie just like sensually rubbing his face?
Oh yeah. There's a few times.
Like, I didn't catch face touch.
Wait,
there's like the zombies are meant to be. No, right. So the zombies are meant to be like attacking him as he's changing trucks. So he jumps out of his truck to get into Peter's passenger seat, right? And there's like maybe 3 or 4 little zombies. And one of them just like kind of caresses Roger's face to just kind of rub his face. And then he hits him with like a fucking whoop-ow kick and then just runs off.
You get the sound effects.
You do. Like, there's a few times, and it's probably it maybe have just been on the extras, like, you know, everyone, they weren't really coached on how to do this. But yeah, there's a few times where you think, right, in normally situations where these were like, undead trying to like bite at every part of your body. There's scenes where they're just kind of like maybe pulling at you, or they're like, as Becca said, caressing your face. Like
the script can't allow him to be bitten right now, so don't.
Exactly.
Don't do that. He's putting himself in these stupid situations though, right? He leaves the truck door open while he's hot wiring it, you know, and he's like, "We got this, man. We got this by the ass. We got this by the ass, man." You know, and Peter is getting more and more pissed.
Even notices that the door is opened of the truck. And he's trying to get. This is actually not a fuck Stephen moment. This is well done, Stephen. Actually,
okay.
He's there. He's flying overhead, and he's trying desperately to get Peter's attention.
Oh, he's in the helicopter, isn't he? Above,
yes,
and he's kind of like following them. And then we've got Fran on the rooftop, like kind of zooming
just
in
keeping
with the rifle. Yeah.
And again, just another straightforward, like, but nice tension building here.
This is, you know, the fun of this movie. I think that drives a lot of people to really enjoy this, is that you just get to see things getting done in this zombie sandbox, you know? And the human drama element is there, but it's just so entertaining to see them like going through all of the aspects of securing the mall. And it's really fun to think how you would do in this situation as well, you know? It's just... God, I love this. And this is why it looks so good for video games. It's so good for Left 4 Dead, for Dead Rising, you know, like, oh, I'm going to put a goofy like hat on a big mask on my head, and I'm going to get 2 chainsaws and tie them together and just run through a bunch of zombies in like in like a little golf cart, you know? Yeah. So Roger's going between like the windows. He keeps getting stuck. He's almost bitten. I wrote Peter is pissed at Roger again. Okay, I've wrote that down a few times. And then does he leave his bag?
Yeah.
And he's like, shit, I left my bag. So they've got to go back, and Peter's like,
he's all like, get it together sort of thing. And he's like, I need your head screwed on.
He gets his army commander moment, you know? Yeah. So Roger gets bitten when trying to retrieve his bag, right?
Yeah.
And he's just the fucking look in his face is like, oh fuck. And then he turns around and just punches a fucking zombie in the head. And then Peter's like, God, we need to, all right, well that's it. And Roger's, no, Yeah, and Roger's like, yo, well, there's a lot more to get done before you can afford to lose me.
Yeah.
So he's being a hero. He knows he's done for, but he's like, all right, well, I got to save my friends. I got to help out as much as I can because they need me. Even though he's a fucking idiot who put himself in that situation.
He put himself in that situation, and like it's just it was such an avoidable incident. But that again, when you need the plot to have stakes, and in this sort of situation, people will do dumb things, or people will make dumb decisions, and he got a little bit careless, and it shows.
A lot of the deaths in this are from people just being too confident.
Yeah,
and I think Peter, he's confident with the knowledge that he's confident and cool. He knows what to do and he knows his limits. Whereas like him and later on Steven, he's too cocky as well. And that's kind of his downfall.
Downfall.
The confidence there. So they decide they're going to need guns and ammo if they want to continue to secure the rest of the mall, right? Yep. So Peter and Flyboy use a ventilation shaft to get above the sporting goods shop where they suit up, and it's such a cool video game moment, like them getting all the cool guns in the gun shop, and there's weird music playing, and Peter picks up this badass rifle. He goes, "Ain't it a crime?" And Steven's like, "What?" And he goes, "The only person who could miss this gun would be the sucker with the bread to buy it." Like, yeah. They're so ready. They put Roger in a wheelbarrow, and they just start running around the mall, clearing the zombies out. And Peter and Roger have a very short moment in the elevator where I don't know if this is in one of the other cuts or not, but like, Is it Roger? He goes, no, Peter goes, "Look here, man." And Roger goes, "I know, shut up, will you?" And that's it. That's all they have to say to each other. Yeah. And it's just such a solemn moment between the pair of them. Like he knows he fucked up. And Peter looked like he was about to say like sorry to him. Like, "God, I can't believe this happened to you." But that's it. They don't need to say anything else.
It's the unspoken kind of camaraderie that they have.
Francine has this brilliant idea to use a car.
Because they have the truck set up, don't they? And now they want to lock the doors like fully. Yeah.
And there's a car in the mall, and again, like Left 4 Dead, then they just get in the car and they drive down the mall, and they manage to. It's Roger who can hotwire it. But I think while he's doing that, he gets fucking bitten again, or a zombie grabs him again.
A zombie
grabs their fingers into his wounded leg already.
Yeah, they squeeze and the blood pops out. It's so visceral.
Oh, gnarly.
Yeah, so they do that. They explain that like the zombies won't be able to break the glass because the trucks are in the way. They don't have the leverage needed to like
exactly. They can't form a horde. Yeah.
Steven has been using a blowtorch to ward off the zombies, so the fire, them being scared of fire, is carried over into this movie. It's a good job. Roger is so adept at hot wiring cars.
Honestly.
That's pretty cool. Good character moment there. Francine has so she has a moment where she's like staring through like one of the glass doors, and a nun zombie just comes up to her and is staring at her. And originally they were going to shoot the zombie that stared at her, but George was like, "You can't shoot a nun."
No, seriously. Even if she's undead and she's trying to eat your flesh, just let her go.
Don't shoot a nun. So that's why they have this really cool scene where they're just like staring back and forth at each other. I really love that moment,
And there's that other zombie that's like dressed up like a baseball player that kind of just sits on the ground just staring back at her as well, isn't there?
A little puppy, yeah.
Yeah, he's like a baby almost, isn't he? He's so weird. So they latch all the doors to keep any new zombies from getting in.
Yeah.
And all these little details of the plan are just, it's all explained. It's all explained. It just makes sense.
Lock the doors and then just take care of the strays that are inside the mall.
Peter says we'll get it all locked off, and then we're going on a hunt.
We're going on a hunt, yeah.
Yeah. And they just take a moment to look at all of their hard work from upstairs, and that's really, really cool. And then Peter's got this idea of putting up the fake wall to hide the stairway in case looters come.
Mm-hmm.
And when I worked at the museum, I'd have to we'd organize galleries and exhibitions. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I have had to put up a lot of fake walls. And when I watched this movie before I worked at the museum, I was like, that's so what? They can just put up a fake wall and make it look natural. But yeah, I've done it before. You can do that.
Oh, okay.
That is, it's a lot more feasible than it sounds or that it looks,
sounds,
you know?
Yeah, than you think, yeah.
Roger's getting drugged up and he's in a bad state. The infection's getting him.
Yeah.
And Peter says that most guys don't last more than 3 days.
And now we're not given, at this point, are we given, is it still within the 3 days parameters, or as a pat, have we got any idea how many days has passed since he's bitten, or is this just the next day?
I think this is either the same day or the next day. Right?
Oh, okay.
I don't think we're too far ahead here.
Okay.
Fran's dealing with morning sickness as well. Mm-hmm. So she's feeling rough. I'm sure all those cigarettes she's smoking probably don't help. And
the glasses of wine, yeah.
Oh God, yeah. I'm not in that situation. I can't say shit.
None of us. Yeah, can relate. So,
Peter says this place is going to be rotten. We got to clean it up, brother. You know. So they go around collecting the dead bodies and they start putting them in the cold storage area.
And there's some weird circus music playing in the background. It just sounds like circus music.
It's a little bit. It's a bit too cheerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, in the Dario version, it's not so much.
Yeah.
So Roger is left by the fountain and he's just kind of tripping balls.
Yeah.
Peter and Flyboy, oh my God, they have this amazing scene where they're in the bank.
Oh yeah.
And Peter's grabbing all the cash and Flyboy looks at him and he's just like, you never know.
You never know.
They start trying on all the cool outfits in the stores. Fran goes ice skating. They're grabbing all the food. Roger looks so happy with his gummies that he's found.
He's just
that.
in a I guess they're just pushing him around in the little wheelbarrow and just leaving him wherever he wants, and he's just there scooping up candies and stuff.
Yeah, they do their hair, you know. Fran cuts their hair for them, and they're playing on the arcade machines.
Yeah,
you know, this is the moment that everybody dreams about when you think about your zombie apocalypse mall scenario. The fun part right here.
Yeah,
and it's nice that they get this for Roger before he passes. He gets to experience some of what he did before he dies here. And I don't think this is in the Japanese dub that I watched. I don't think they have any of this lightheartedness. It's he's bitten and then he fucking dies. I don't think they get to go around doing all of that. They have the haircut scene, but I think that's about it. And this is the real famous line right here, where they're at the top of the mall and Fran says they're still here. And then Flyby goes, they're after us. They know we're still in here. And then Peter says, they're after the place. I don't know why, but they just remember. They remember they want to be in here. And Fran says, what the hell are they? And Peter says, they're us, that's all. There's no more room in hell. And then he starts talking about how his granddad was a voodoo priest in Trinidad. Macumba. Yeah. And he used to say, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth. Mm-hmm. You know? And
cool.
George Romero actually came up with that line when he was drunk one night trying to fill in the script, you know?
Oh my God.
Right? But that's so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Oh man, if that was me and I was trying to get a screenplay and I was drunk as a skunk, I'd probably just start crying or something like that. But George just dropping banger lines like this.
It's just incredible. It's just so dope. So awesome. And then Roger's dying.
Yeah.
And he asks Peter to take care of him when he goes because he doesn't want to walk around like the dead.
Yeah.
This is really where the makeup shines.
Yeah.
It's looked goofy in the past, but oh my God, the job they do on Roger, he just looks so sick and gaunt. Yeah. And he asks Peter not to kill him until he's sure that he's coming back, you know, because he says he's going to try not to come back.
Yeah.
And it's really sad. He really digresses into a little kid. He's like, we whipped him, didn't we? We whipped him. We got him, you know, and he's like, don't. You're gonna kill me, right? Don't do it till I'm gonna try not to come back. It's so sad. It's so sad. Brilliant actors. They're so good.
Really good. I don't like. It really is on. It's on. You can't really state in our like what we've said here. For anyone who hasn't watched the movie, like they're like we've elaborated on it, but their friendship really is like one of the highlights of this movie. Like because it's their bromance, and then obviously Franny and Flyboy are together, but there's so many just little moments.
They have more nice moments than the couple, Fran.
Than the couple have.
Yeah, they do. They actually do.
You know?
Yeah.
Their chemistry is so good, and it really is this big sad moment where you're like, "Fuck, this is it's going dark now. It's going real dark."
The first time they obviously meet, going back just to the raid, like we haven't stated, but Peter is a unit of a man. Peter is like comfortably probably 6'5", 6'6".
I said it earlier. He's huge.
Yeah, Roger is
genuinely huge.
Roger's like 5'9", 5'8", or something like that. I think there's such a dynamic between them. It's just it almost just feels like big brother, little brother sort of like dynamic.
Are you
as
like
well.
6'5", Bex?
6'3", and he even looked huge compared to me. Like I was looking at him,
You're a
like,
pretty big guy because
me.
I'm like 5'9", 5'10". Right?
Yeah, me and Seb are the same height, so
all right,
basically, you're our Peter.
Short kings. Let's go.
when our meetup happens, like we'll just be like Roger and Peter dynamic. Yeah,
I told you guys, I love Harry. Harry's the best. In Night of the Living Dead, Harry's so good. Harry Cooper.
Shout out Harry. Shout out Mr.
Harry.
Cooper.
We've got Flyboy and Francine. They're watching the TV again, and I love how the crazies guy, he just keeps calling everybody dummies. He's like, dummies, you're so dumb, you dummies. And it's like, for all we know, the brains are all dead, and it's the idiots that are still alive. You dummies.
It's another great line. Like, just that's a pick up here now because.
It shows the outside world dealing with the problem as well. We've spoken about this in Night of the Living Dead, where it's like through the TV, we can see that it's not just them, it's the whole world is dealing with this shit.
And
doesn't he also ask the question about why haven't they dropped a nuke yet?
Yeah. He's like, he says he doesn't have any solutions, and the guy talking to him is like, but you're the scientist, you're supposed to have solutions. And it's like, all right, well, why don't we just drop a nuke on them all? You know, they need food. They're not going to run out of food unless we kill the population. Yeah. So they're trying to come up with ways to deal with it, but they can't right now. And again, this is a good lead up to Day of the Dead. When we eventually cover Day of the Dead, I'm sure we will. Because I fucking love George Romero. Day of the Dead deals with the scientists 10 years after this, still trying to find a cure or still trying to find a solution. It's so good. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah.
No, this is the last one I've seen of the series. No.
Oh shit! You've not seen of this trilogy.
No.
You've not seen Day of the
Dead.
Dead.
Like I said, I've seen videos on it, but I've never actually sat down and watched anything.
You said
past
that this
Dawn.
is now your favorite Romero movie, right?
So it'd be interesting to see what you think.
It's my favorite zombie movie in general.
Favorite zombie movie.
Think,
okay, so Day of the Dead is up there for me. This, I don't know. They're both on the weighing scale of my favorites. They go up and down, but they're both there, right?
They're both there consistently.
I adore Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
I think Diary is my favorite, but is by no means the best. These two are the best. Day and Dawn are so good. So yeah, Roger comes back from the dead, and he's the spookiest looking zombie of all time.
Whoa, yeah.
You know, he looks like Frankenstein's monster. I was really like the way he comes up, like straight back. You know, he like leans forward, and Peter looks real sad, and he puts him down
because he's under the sheet, isn't he, when he passes? And then the sheet just kind of starts to fall.
Great scene.
Yeah, and you just the reveal. It's like, wow.
He didn't manage to stop coming back. He came back. It's real sad. They bury him in the mall garden, and
in the little plaza. It's really nice. He gets a proper burial. Stephen and Peter bury him.
Yeah. So then Fran and Flyboy practice their shooting. And this is a really nice moment where Peter makes Stephen and Fran like a nice romantic meal, you know, in the restaurant.
Yep.
And he goes for a walk. And again, we have this bromance moment where Peter is by himself now.
Yeah.
And, you know, the couple are there having their nice romantic meal. And he takes like a bottle of, what is it, like Prosecco or wine out. And he just pours it in the garden on the soil, you know, for he's grieving.
For his fallen comrade,
Yeah. And he pours it to him. Meanwhile, we've got Stephen being a dumbass.
Yep.
He asks Fran to marry him.
Yep.
And she says, we can't, it wouldn't be real, you know?
Yeah.
And it's such a down point after the real happy point we just had of them all playing games and stuff and like
Roger dying.
Work. Yeah.
And Peter Peter missing Roger passing away. Stephen were like, well, I'm just going to propose. Getting rejected.
That's got to be rough, you know. I wouldn't marry you if you were the last man on earth. No, one of two. God, that is rough. Oh God, I've lost where I am in my notes. My phone fucking switched off. You guys got anything more here, and I'll try and find where I am.
Beckham.
Oh, what have we got here? We've gotten from Stephen and Francis doing the proposal scene. That's it. All we have after that is we're cutting back into a bunch of stuff happening around the mall. There's another banger song. And like, I think this is my favorite song other than the gong. No, there's a different song. I have it written here. It's not the gong, but it is a banger. It is whatever song this one was. I don't know what the name of it was. I actually, right, I Shazammed this song and I got some 2023 rapper that used the sample in the background. I was like, no. The original. But it was really, really cool.
I would love to like play these for people on the podcast, but we can't. You can find them all on YouTube. It's all there.
You will.
Or just watch the movie. But so they've turned the office into like a real homely feeling place, right?
Mm-hmm.
The office is
There's a big time jump here.
Yeah, I think there's a time jump, right?
Fran looks way more pregnant, so I think there is a time jump here, right?
Still enjoying her wine and her smokes though, so shout out Fran, you know.
End of the world.
End of the world, yeah.
Peter's playing tennis with himself on the rooftop, and we have this amazing shot of this shot has been done in so many things. I don't know where it was done first, but you know, the ball falling off the roof and the camera follows the ball.
Yeah.
And it bounces into the horde beneath them, you know?
Yeah.
Fran has a Joker moment where she's like looking in the mirror doing her makeup and she looks like the fucking mannequin.
Yeah.
It's a really nice shot. This was George A. Romero's wife was doing the "Attention all shoppers" announcement that's playing in the background. And then the TV goes out and there's no more broadcasts. And Fran switches the TV off and Steven's mad and he puts the TV back on. And Fran's just like, what have we done to ourselves? And it's all getting existential now, you know?
That's why I wanted to ask both your interpretations of that, because they have everything they could possibly want, right? You'd think like all their rations, resources in the mall. They have each other as well to an extent, so they've got like bonds formed. They're safe, but they don't seem happy now. And
this is because you can have all of the things, all of the stuff, and in a consumeristic society, you know, that is like stuff will make you happy.
Yeah,
but in reality, that is not the case. You know, it's people and interactions with people that really improve life and like experiences. But like just having things, that'll improve your life a certain amount, but it's not really going to make you like genuinely
feel
happy.
Fulfilled.
Yeah, fulfilled.
Although
they say like money doesn't make you happy, but that's only if you've got like $200,000 in the bank, that's when it stops making you happy. So until that point, it'll make you pretty happy.
I'd rather cry in a Lamborghini than in my house. Okay.
Like, so that's what I get from that, where what
about you?
Yeah,
I think a little bit of a difference. Like they have everything in this mall. They set themselves up. They had the idea in their head that we're going to survive in here. We have everything we need. And then after a while, they've kind of realized that like there's no joy in having everything they have in here when there's no real society outside of the walls of that mall other than the three of them now. There's no other people
That's all
So
they
there's not
have.
really a lot more to them other than that. There's the three of them, and then there's all the materialistic shit that they don't really care about now. They just want to get back out, have a real world to live in. You know, that kind of way.
The remake has the moment with the helicopters going over.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a bit of like, oh, other people exist, right? But this doesn't have that. It doesn't have that at all. And that's a good thing for this movie, right? Where it's like, it's so lonely. Yeah, George is very good at making you feel alone in his movies, or making the characters feel very alone. We've got Flyboy giving Fran helicopter lessons.
Yeah.
And now this is where we meet our real protagonists. We got Tom Savini is scoping them out with the motorcycle gang. And this is Tom Savini, so he did makeup, he did special effects, and he's got his own character. Blades, I think is called.
And he has the coolest little brush I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He got a little flick knife that's actually a comb for his mustache.
It's a flick knife comb. It's so grease. It's so good.
He oozes charisma as soon as he shows up. Like in that when we're introduced to him, they're obviously scoping out the mall. It's come to their attention. They see the helicopter.
They weren't really characters in the script. This is like Tom Savini. He's like, yeah, I'm going to have this character. He's going to be called Blades, and he's going to have a blade. You know, he's going to kill everybody.
He's going to have a mustache comb, and he's going to have motorcycles and all that.
This is all Tom Savini added stuff. You know,
I think this is one of the things I like about this movie more than I did with Night. Is like, I know a lot of media does the trope of humans are more dangerous than the zombies, like we've had The Walking Dead and The Last of Us and all that kind of do it. But I think it, for this movie in particular, even though there's one scene with these bikers that we'll get to that I don't like, which I'm sure you already know by me saying it. But I think it adds in something, because you've already spent a good hour and a half of the extended edition now having our zombies. It looks like our core tree have kind of locked down the mall now, and they're comfortable. They're like, I'd go and say that they've started to get depressed with their situation, but at least they're comfortable away from it. Like the zombie trays,
it's because they now have time to think about their situation.
Yeah.
When they were active and doing things, they didn't have time.
Yeah. And now adding the bikers is that little bit of a, like a kick into the arse of the characters to be like, right.
You were talking
can't
about
always
how
be comfortable.
The Last of Us has. The people are like real shitty, like, but the zombies are real scary. I feel like that's where the TV show lacks a bit, because it never really shows us the true scariness of the zombies. It just gets straight into the people, They're supposed to be the last people alive after.
I don't want to get into a big debate about The Last of Us, but it's complicated to explain the difference between the game and the show, because again, you're sitting playing a game, you need action all the time, you need to be fed your zombies to keep you playing. You're not going to sit and play a game where people are talking for 20 hours.
You need to be stimulated.
It's true. That's true.
Where a show can cut it down and give you, like, I think next season you'll have a lot more of the clickers and whatever. You probably will, but I think the first season the show was slower.
Zombies in my zombie show, but I understand.
Again, the Last of Us show, it's a whole other discussion. But I think just to simplify it, a game needs you to keep playing, where the show can go, hey, you already played the game. We're giving you what we really wanted to go with, the human side of it. You're going to have your zombies.
The more character moments.
That's a fair point. I feel like, to get back to this movie, all cuts, or at least the cuts we've seen, they balance it really well. It's really well balanced. You get your people moments, you get your zombie moments, you get your gang moments.
Yeah,
it's real cool. And the reason why the gang have seen them is because they saw the guys in the helicopter flying.
Flyboy and Annie, or Franny, I'm not going to call him, from this point onwards, he's no longer Steven, he's just permanently Flyboy now.
As I said, in my notes, he's always been Flyboy this whole time.
I'm tired of the disrespect to my name from this guy.
So it's
what do you mean? You're Stevel Knievel.
What do you mean? Gonna rebrand my Twitch now to Flyboy Knievel.
In the extended cut, you get this isn't in the US cut. In the US cut, you have the biker gang see them, and then they like call them on the radio and they tell them they're coming. But in the extended cut, you have the biker gang arguing over what to say. You have them trying to be quiet and be like, shh, being sneaky about it, but they're obviously really stupid.
There's only 3 of us too as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the entire call scene could have been cut. I don't think this.
Well, it's cut in the theatrical scene.
I think it's better without it.
I
think this is a little bit slower, because if you just had them seeing the helicopter and then the bikes all just rolling up, you'd have pieced it together without them having to call it.
Well, they have the call, but it's cut way shorter in the theatrical cut. So maybe you would have enjoyed that more. But I really enjoy seeing the bikers all being goofy and just like tripping over each other's words and stuff.
I enjoy the chaos of it, and it's the arrogance, isn't it? It's the arrogance of the raiding party that, all right, they've been like fast forward just a tiny bit, but like when Stephen and Peter notice them coming, they make a point that like, oh, these guys have probably been on the road this whole time. They've been doing this since this outbreak probably happened. True.
These
right?
guys have survived looting, although when we see them, we're like, how did they ever survive?
So it's fact. It's like their way of their reasoning for announcing their arrival ahead of time, like letting them know, is probably they're a big group. They've survived. There's an arrogance there, even though they are some of them are just absolutely idiots. There's an arrogance there, and they think that no one will be able to stop them because their numbers have become so they've amassed quite
the arrogance
crew.
we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
When characters get arrogant in these movies, that's when they die, and that continues in all zombie media, I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. It's the biggest crutch of characters is just their either.
Unless you're Rick Grimes.
Yeah.
He can get away with it for some reason.
Yeah, that's because Scott Gimple's writing him shit.
He's not wrong. Scott Gimple's a pain.
God, Scott Gimple writes fucking Rick Grimes like.
It's Rick Grimes fan fiction. That's what it is.
It is.
Yo, straight up. He writes him like Doctor Who was written, like where David Tennant is just like this god. Right?
Yeah.
And it is written because obviously the creator fancies the character, It's less of a self-insert, it's more of like a this is who I want to fuck, This is who I want to be with. I don't know, that felt like J.J. Abrams and Ray as well in Star Wars, where it's just like...
He was down bad for,
God damn character. It. Okay, all right. Back to it. So,
before I go on a tangent, let's get back to it.
These, you know what? It will be interesting when we do find a movie that we're not all on board with. That's going to be very interesting. Okay, so the bikers are actually a real biker gang in real life. They're called the Pagans. Ooh, and they brought their own bikes and gear. And this is like, just shows how much improvisation was going on in the making of this film. If somebody had a good idea, George was like, all right, let's do it. And anybody could come up to George apparently and pitch him an idea, and he'd be like, yeah, okay, or no, that's not really going to fit. And that's just how much of how comfortable people were around George A. Romero as a director. Like, imagine doing that to Kubrick. You couldn't.
You would have been put in isolation for a week.
You'd die. You'd be killed.
Do not come up to me with ideas about my movie. How dare you?
So we've got is it Peter? He takes his fancy watch off and he picks up a gun. The main characters they get ready for war. They close the gates while the posse below are fighting the zombies. Yeah. And we have Tom Savini's character, Blades, grabbing jewelry off like a really fancy dressed zombie.
Yeah.
And it's just, why do you need jewelry? Consumerism, again, is the downfall. Blades, he's the one who makes an appearance in Land of the Dead.
He does, yeah.
Is it?
As a zombie.
That's cool.
He does, yeah.
Is it Tom Savini?
It's Tom Savini, yeah.
In makeup and everything, yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
But they try and make him look like he would like 10 years later. Or 20 years later or whatever. But yeah, he's a zombie. I don't know if he's zombie dies in this one, but maybe not. But technically, because Land was made by a different movie studio, they didn't have the rights to that character. So he is the same character in all but name,
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah. That's still kind of cool, though.
Yeah. That's the thing with George A. Romero movies. They're all sequels, kind of. we discussed this at the end. We discussed that at the beginning. When I first watched this movie, it was after seeing the Zack Snyder version, and I didn't expect this movie. Like, I knew it would be like cheesy 70s stuff. I didn't expect it to turn into an episode of the Chuckle Brothers, where they're literally cream pieing zombie.
Wait, before that, I want to get to. Wait, hold on. Before we deep into that, because I have a lot. There is one thing that I haven't seen the sequel, right? I've not seen the next one, but there's one thing in this. Peter says the word zombie for the first time, and it's the only time in the original trilogy that the word is said.
It's the first time zombie has been said, yeah. It wasn't said in Night of the Living Dead. They said it in this one. Because in Night of the Living Dead, they didn't know there were zombies. They were just ghouls, flesh eaters. In this, zombie is in the lexicon, It's in, people know what a zombie is and they expect it. Also, what George does is he does connect it really well because Peter has this voodoo background.
Yep.
And originally George thought of zombie as a voodoo thing. So he's put the real life zombie into his story. So it's good writing. It's good stuff.
Until we get cream pieing and water squirting zombies.
It's so funny to see zombies react to being sprayed by water.
I'm glad you said water in the front of that sentence. Like, it took every bit of restraint for me to put just pieing some zombies and water squirting
some
zombies.
It's a cream pie. Come on.
I don't like this scene at all.
It's a cream pie.
I hate it. I actually despise it. It ruins this scene for me.
To anybody, what the fuck was Peter and Flyboy be thinking seeing this? They're watching from upstairs. They're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. They're just,
like 2 minutes ago, they were all shooting and killing and tearing the shops apart. Then all of a sudden, they're like, ha, cream pies.
So about the improv stuff I was talking about earlier, that was an idea they had on the night, and George's wife at the time, Chris, she was like, this is stupid. This is ridiculous. Why this?
Agree.
And George was like, it's funny.
It's so weird.
I think they should have. This is one thing that I think they should have taken out. I don't think this is in the Dario version.
Definitely not.
The rest of the humor in the movie is really, really good, except for this.
It's earned in the rest of the movie. The moments of kind of like
the little zombie pulling the coins out of the well, the fountain or whatever. There's loads of good laughs.
Moments of respite, like the relief, like comic relief. But
if you had a scene of like the bikers just taking shrooms right before they walked in, then that would maybe make sense.
It'd make more sense, yeah. But they're here to raid, they're here to rob, loot, and probably kill whoever stands between them and what they want. But they're just messing with zombies here. Yeah, it's.
This is where these characters. This is your video game shit. This is your Dead Rising protagonist or your Dead Island protagonist running through
putting the Lego heads on zombies and stuff like that.
But it makes sense in the games, and this is just dumb. I don't like. It's just it's just a complete different mood than any of the rest of the movies.
You've got the fucking idiot in the sombrero.
Oh yeah,
and this happens a little bit later, but let's talk about it now. So he's like, all right, now it's time to check my blood pressure.
There's a lot going on right now. He's okay.
You gotta make sure your blood pressure's on point. Like, you don't have a heart attack or anything like that. So. But unfortunately,
I think that was Tasso, the other stunt guy, the other special effects guy, the guy who worked really close with them.
I think that's somebody different, isn't it? There's another biker that gets attacked later.
Tasso's the guy who gets ripped on the ground
later. Yeah.
Is that not the same guy?
No, I don't think so.
I think it might be the same guy. I'm not 100% now.
I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know.
By the way, if you ever listen to the commentaries of this, it's amazing how Savini talks about how the effects were made. Highly recommend you go and listen to those just for Savini's enthusiasm about how everything was made. Like, we can't go into it here; it'd just be too long.
He's a genius when it comes to the crafts work and the prosthetics and just the visceral effects. Like, we'll get into it in the next few scenes, but there's not a whole lot here either. It's just a fun little.
How do Roger and
Roger?
Sorry, not Roger. Peter and Flyboy. How they split up? Why do they split up?
They do split up. Why?
Steven goes to run to get somewhere, and I think the bikers get in. And he's to hide in between trees.
Okay.
While Peter's above.
Yeah, Peter stays. Does Peter head back to the ventilation? Does he? Or is
he just wants to not be seen, right?
He does. Who opens fire then first? One of them opens fire first. Is it Steve? Is it Flyboy that does it first?
Steven shoots first. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. All right. Mark could note down for idiot Steven.
Yeah.
This is where like he kind of loses it, like Roger did, where he loses common sense.
Yeah.
Because he starts taking pot shots at people, right? And he's just like this is ours. What are you like? This meaningless stuff he wants to protect. You know, like. He's pissed because they spent all this time securing this place, and now these guys have ruined it. But yeah, he should have stayed out of the way.
And then a fucking zombie clotheslines Tom Savini off of a fucking bike and gets a machete in the head for it.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
It's so dope. And the way they so Tom Savini's loving this. He jump kicks the zombie. Yeah. And then he goes, "Say goodbye, creep," as he machetes him.
Yeah.
And they filmed that in reverse, the machete part. That's how it looks so good.
Ah, that's dope.
Yeah. And he's like cutting zombies' heads off. Yeah. And he's so badass. And
there's a child zombie that gets shot as well at some point.
Yeah. Is there? Well, Peter is beasting again with the hunting rifle, so maybe it was him again. He's he's got a taste for it, you know?
Shooting zombie children. Yeah,
you've got the posse, the biker group. They're smashing TVs.
Yeah,
and it's just like that. Always looks so much fun in anything when people are smashing TVs. I've always wanted to smash a TV.
He's got a big ass sledgehammer. There's one guy in particular in the biker, and I tried. Right, this is probably one of my only issues with, and it's such a little nitpick, but every time, because he was in quite a few scenes during the raid, but he's got this giant ass hammer, right? And you just know that hammer is like either inflatable or it's like it's rubber or something like that.
I think he's called Sledge.
Very on the nose.
So it's blades and Sledge. I think that's Tasso and Savini.
And he's just bopping them. He's just bopping them, and you're just like, right. You can literally see that thing bounce back off the. But it's just such a little nitpick. It was. But I was like, it would look fun.
It does really bounce off the zombies. You're right.
Yeah, just like, but it was a minor, just because by this point now it was 1 a.m. and I was really enjoying it, but I couldn't help but. My brain was like, no, that's not real.
Steve, maybe, they've been dead so long, their skin has gone rubbery.
It's rock just bounces off them. Listen, I retract my statement then. I have no complaints, no nitpicks.
Savini gets like another really cool part. He sees is it Peter? And like Peter like jumps into the ceiling and he's now in the ventilation shaft. And
because the lights go down as they're about to fight.
Savini, so cool. I would have loved to see them like fight each other. But yeah, you've got Savini's then using his machete to like stab up through the grates in the ventilation shaft.
So he spots Peter fleeing.
Flyboy's in the elevator during here, and the power comes on. Yeah, and Flyboy gets fucking shot, and you're like, fuck, he's shot in the arm.
Yeah, these two little goonies just like follow him in, right? And they're it's like they're playing a practical joke. They just walk into the elevator, they're laughing, they're like, hey, spotted him. They shoot him, and then they just run out giggling again.
Yeah.
It's like, you've just maimed the guy, and you're just like, yeah, right, on to the next one. Let's keep looting.
And this is so cool. So Peter is upstairs or something, and he or is he still in the shaft anyway? He assassinates Tom Savini. Like,
oh yeah.
He shoots him and he goes flying down to the ground floor.
Yeah.
It's so fucking cool. He did his own stunts here.
Yeah,
like,
you know that's him.
Just a brave motherfucker.
He almost missed the crash pad of the stunt as well.
Oh, did he?
Apparently he fell down like legs first as well. Like, I don't know if there were stunt schools back then for any of this.
Yeah.
he didn't go to like a makeup art school or anything. This is just his own passion.
Oh, self-taught. That's incredible.
Yeah. He's got lots of books on it and stuff. I just adore Tom Savini. I think
Tom Savini's great.
Some people, when they watch him or they listen to him, they think he comes off as like too cocky or too like arrogant.
Right.
Oh no, I just think it's really cool to
I think
watch.
he's somebody who's good at what he does and he knows it.
And he
There's no
loves it
difference
as
between
well.
it, you know what I mean?
He's passionate. People could confuse his probably passion for like narcissism or like arrogance. Like he's been a staple since like the 70s in this genre, and he's earned.
Thanks to him,
that
we
right.
have like the splatter fest gory slasher movies. Really,
he's earned the right. He's earned the right to be where he is, and I think his work is wonderful. I need to follow up and check out some of his books or his like interviews, commentaries.
Yeah, definitely, big recommend there. So the bikers now start to get bored and they start to like leave.
They're done. Yeah.
It's a really cool shot where Peter. He snipes one of the bikers that's on their way out.
Leaving. Yeah, he holds the scope on him for a couple of seconds, and you're thinking,
is he going to shoot him or is he
going to shoot him? Just let him go, he blasts him.
He pings him, and he falls to the ground.
Yeah,
and he grabs a Tommy gun.
Yeah,
and he's surrounded by zombies.
He's just spraying, everything in front of him.
So fucking cool.
There's a huge group just converge on him.
Now, this is like a little nitpick here, but he could have just ran forward towards the camera. But obviously, for the scene to look cool, they didn't fill up the front, so they could film it. So the zombies are all behind him, but it does give the effect that they're all around him. That's so dope. The sombrero guy goes back to the blood pressure machine.
Yeah, and he's like, might as well check my blood pressure before I.
And he's eaten by zombies for no reason.
They just all pin him.
Stays in the machine.
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes it worth it for me.
Yeah. That
you
gag is earned.
You have the shot of the blood pressure going up as it's just his arms squirting inside of the machine.
Yeah, that gag is earned once they like I was like, why are they just having him just sit in and take his blood pressure when he's surrounded by hungry ghouls? The gag is earned once they rip him away and his arm just stays.
Yeah. So then you've got
amazing prosthetics.
Flyboy, they've been using the elevator to like climb through the shafts.
Yes.
But he's been shot in the arm, so he can't climb up as easily, right?
No.
And the zombies go into the elevator and they start taking chunks out of him.
Yeah.
And he is about to become one of the most iconic zombies ever.
Yeah.
His acting is so good here as well.
He's a very good zombie actor as well.
Yeah, I preferred his zombie acting than his actor acting.
Well, he's so cool. So Peter tells Fran that he's gone.
Yeah, because Peter. Oh yes, so Peter's running back to you'd say the hideout, right? And there's just such a juxtaposition between. So Peter's in the long corridor. It's silent. It's echoey. It's just like it's. You could hear a pin drop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts back to Flyboy in the elevator, and it's just all chaos. It's moaning, groaning, ripping, shredding, tearing, screaming, fighting, shooting, and it's a lovely little dynamic between the two. And there's a moment there where Peter's like, he's thinking about going back, isn't he? He's thinking about.
Oh yeah, he's in the corridor. And he wants to go back, but he knows he's already gone.
Yeah, the moral dilemma there, and it's fantastic, and he's.
It's true to his character where he doesn't do stupid things.
No.
Even no matter how he gets in his head, he'll always do the smarter thing, right? He's not an emotional. He doesn't let his emotions come ahead of him. That's what I'm trying to say. And then the song that plays is the fucking Gonk song again.
Oh man,
I'm pretty sure, and this is why we get shots of the zombies just strolling around the mall.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I love all these shots of the zombies just walking around the mall. It must be so much fun to shoot. Then we get the elevator doors open, and the music kind of like freaks out, and it's zombie Flyboy now.
Yeah,
and
he looks great. His movements, everything is just.
Him and the actor for Roger, the pair of them, they both really put a lot of thought into how their characters would react as zombies.
Yeah.
And it really shows because these two stand out more than anybody else, really. Like, especially Flyboy Zombie is just so good.
His body position, his neck is like kind of like his it's like his his head is tilted, constantly resting on his shoulder.
He said he had to think about like all the different places where he got bitten.
Yeah.
So he got bitten in the neck. That's why his head's like that. He got bitten in the leg, and that's why his leg is all fucked, and his foot is like dragging, and his arm. And then it was his idea to have the gun stuck to his finger, and the zombie doesn't even realize he's got a gun attached to his finger. Yeah. And like this all came from him. This wasn't like directed to act like this. This is really the actor putting in the work here to bring the dead to life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's really well done, and we got our final little. So, Beckham, have you anything there? Actually,
I'm just waiting on the next scene where they decide to come looking for Peter and Fran through the built wall that they made earlier.
Yeah. The zombies managed to. This is how the zombies find people. We're discovering something here about the zombies, where they have this like innate. It's like a memory of where people are, and I guess that helps them get their food, right? So it's either instinct or memory, but Flyboy leads all the zombies to the fake wall because he knew that was there, right?
Yeah. This is the final fuck,
including my favorite zombie, assault rifle zombie. He's pointing a gun at his head for no reason. He's just looking at it. I love him.
He took that rifle off Stephen, I think, earlier in the
he's
film,
upgraded.
Right? Was it Roger that you took it off?
Or was it Roger? Yeah,
I think it was Roger.
Yeah. He's upgraded to the full assault rifle now. He had just like a bolt action before.
Oh really? Okay. Yeah. He's found another gun. So then we get Peter tells Fran to leave, and he says he's going to stay behind. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or is that after? Anyway, we see Stephen makes it up to them, right?
They're basically waiting for the zombies to come true. Yeah,
because there's been a little bit of a time jump, right? And Peter says he's not been able to get Stephen on the radio. He's Flyboy on the radio. He's gone, and then he hears them break through. Yeah, and that's that. Yeah, and he's like, right, we got to go, and he wants. Yeah, you go ahead there.
Stephen, he comes through the door, and he closes the door, and then Peter takes him out, and it's like just such a huge blood splatter.
Oh, it's
amazing. And then he kind of like falls off to the side, and then I think it's the Harry. So the Hare Krishna comes. No, he's already dead. It's the zombie with the guns or whatever. Anyway, they all start piling in, and Fran goes up the ladder. She's going to get onto the roof. Peter's decided he's going to shoot himself.
Yeah. Yep.
You guys, this was going to be a very dark ending, like Night of the Living Dead. But I think it was George A. Romero's wife at the time. She was like, no, it's got to be lighter. People want a bit of heart, a bit of light at the end of a movie. So he ended up going lighter at the end of this one. Yeah, and I think it's good. We've already had Night of the Living Dead. We didn't need it again. Yeah. The ending was actually going to be he was going to shoot himself, and then Fran was going to stick her head in the helicopter blades to finish herself off.
Okay. Oh wow.
I think it could have been a good ending too, though.
It would have been epic.
That could have been.
It would have been epic.
What have we? Yeah. So if we were close to wrapping up because then we can kind of discuss the endings. They start climbing the ladder, don't they? Like they're actually able to fully climb the ladder.
The zombies can climb the ladder.
Yeah.
So before we get to that, Peter decides, actually, fuck this shit. I'm going to survive. Right? And he ends up shooting the zombies, and he's some fucking... The music that plays in the American version is so, like, cheesy. It's like some A-Team music.
Okay. Ours was kind of the same. It was like a pure heroic
well, I think it'll be the same music. In the
Yeah.
Dario version, it's a much more intense kind of theme that plays here. It's cool, but it's not as cheesy. So I don't know which I prefer, but yeah. So he's fighting his way through as the triumphant music plays, and Fran has already started to take off, but she She somehow
No.
manages to see him at that angle in the helicopter.
Yeah.
Peter trades gun with the gun zombie.
Yeah,
that's the trade. That's the trade. Let's go.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
He hands him the gun, and the zombie just looks at the gun. He's like, "Yeah, fuck, it's all done. I have a new gun now."
That zombie's instincts were more like, I need gun rather than I need to eat people.
I love him. He's the best zombie ever.
He's so good. So Peter says, how much fuel do we have? And Fran says, not much. Now, also, what George wanted for the ending was they fly off into the distance.
Yeah.
Cuts to black. Helicopter sounds stop as they're flying away.
Oh.
So the fuel runs out and they crash.
No.
That was another dark ending that he wanted, right?
Yeah.
I think I remember hearing that somewhere. I didn't see that in my research for it this time, but like I've loved this movie for a long time, so a lot of this is from my own head, from my memories.
Slight problem with the end.
Go on.
As Peter's fighting all the zombies to get to the helicopter, as Fran's flying away, right? It is nighttime, but as it lifts up off the roof and goes into the sky, it's daytime.
Oh,
you do kind of see that the sun is coming up, though.
Yeah,
I don't. Do you?
Yeah. The
It's
sun is
very,
rising,
like, pitch black
but
as they're fighting.
it's very different. It is suddenly day.
right.
Yeah.
Excusable.
It's excusable, but you are correct. You are correct.
No.
Okay. There's a jump there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the credits are over the mall as the zombies are walking around and moaning, and then we have the fucking gong song and zombie moans.
Yeah.
While the gong fucking plays this fucking gong song. God damn it.
It's going to be stuck in my head for like a week.
We got a little gong choir here. the final line, I love it because it's after everything Peter's been through, Franny's been through, obviously Flyboy and Roger were through as well. I just love it's just almost like he asks her how much fuel do we have, and she's like, not much, and he's just like, you know what, all right. They've been through so much. He's like, somehow they'll probably make it work regardless. And it's just like, it's not really like an optimistic, all right. It's just like, you know, we'll deal with it like we've been dealing. Like he's so probably just exhausted now. He's just like, well, let's just get out of here and see where we end up.
I love how because we don't get like true sequels to these movies, the characters could end up anywhere. It's just left to our own imaginations.
And I like that.
I think I don't know, there's probably a comic that continues Fran and
Drew,
Peter.
Yeah.
Who's keeping up with comics and stuff though on top of movies? Like,
you never know.
That's long though.
I loved 28 Days Later, and then I read the entire comic sequel. Yeah, and I think that sequel is really good. Although, like, spoilers,
but will it get ruined?
Will that be retcon now? Yeah,
it's totally getting retcon because Cillian Murphy's character is dead in the comic.
Yeah,
okay, but
he doesn't survive to the comic, but he's coming back in the next movie.
See, that's why I can't get in with comics that come out with movies, because then 10 years down the line, some new company gets the movie and they go, oh, here's the sequel, and everything just
is doing it right now with Star Wars, and it's terrible. Even Disney comics are being retconned by other Disney productions.
Yeah, it's just long.
Look at you, Dave Filoni. You're breaking my heart.
But no, I love the ambiguousness. Again, it's just like where they end up, who knows? But they survived the ordeal.
In Snyder's version, you know they're dead when they get to the island. Like, there's no fucking way.
Because how is that explained? Is it just there's already zombies on the island?
Yeah, it's just a shitload of zombies.
Am I misremembering? Right, I need to ask a question because my head's been wrecked this entire podcast by this. Does Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead have a baby zombie?
Yeah.
Fuck that movie.
When is the baby? Oh, yeah.
So there's the woman's pregnancy. So they have the pregnant woman, which is like a take on this, right? But she actually gives birth, and it looks like a Shrek baby. It's green.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah. Zack Snyder L.
He's so edgy, Zack Snyder.
He's so cool, guys.
I watched an interview with George Romero. Oh, maybe it was a commentary, and the commentary was like in 2003 or 2004, but before the Dawn remake had been made. Mm-hmm. And somebody's like, yeah, so they're remaking Dawn of the Dead, aren't they? And he goes, yeah, I got nothing to do with that. You know what? I don't know why they need to remake the movie. The movie's perfectly fine by itself. It's a good movie. Why do you need to make another version of it? It's this. I made the movie. Yeah. That's the movie. Go watch my movie. Why are you doing this? And it's very. It is very sad that I'll maybe spoil for a future podcast if we do Day of the Dead. My first interaction with Day of the Dead was a remake, a terrible remake. My first interaction with Dawn of the Dead was a remake. My first interaction with Night of the Living Dead was the fucking remake. Yeah. Like, it's almost like I've never seen. I didn't get to see the original. I had to go looking for it after watching the remake. But I guess that's the thing about remakes is it does put the idea back into back into the mind, right? I wouldn't have known that these existed without looking after them after watching these
like
other
a
remakes.
Certain video game. Silent Hill. You know, the big argument that's going around on the internet of the remake looks terrible. All right, let me get into this for a second, right? I love Silent Hill 2. Right, I have a couple of seconds. Right, I love Silent Hill 2. It's my favorite horror game of all time. It is. If the remake ends up shit, I'll put my hands up and go, I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, if it's shit, it's not for me. It's for 16 or 17-year-olds who no chance to play a Silent Hill game. They're getting a Silent Hill game. That's my stand on it. If I don't like it, it's not for me.
I can understand why you remake old projects. It gets like for a new generation to listen to. Exactly. Hopefully they do it. And this counts for all remakes. Hopefully it's done with a bit of class and respect for the original source material and for the original audience. Yeah. Right?
There you go. 100%.
This is what is not happening. Again, Disney Star Wars, 343 Halo. It's just like they're telling you to go fuck yourself, right?
Yeah.
And like, yo, this isn't for you. Go fuck yourself. And you're like, okay, I guess I'll go fuck myself then. So let's hope that doesn't happen with Silent Hill, but also like a lot of the George A. Romero remakes or sequels or like non-official by him, they don't have the respect for George A. Romero. I think Zack Snyder's obviously doing his own thing and it's his thing of the time, and I do think it's a very good movie, and I feel like maybe George was a little too hard at it.
Right.
I think it's fine. Like, I'm not a big Zack Snyder fan, but if I watch it, I'm not going to say it's shit. I think it's
doing its own thing as well, and it does a really good job at that. Night of the Living Dead remake, I think that's the best possible outcome, where George wrote it for the director, for Tom Savini, because it was going to give these guys the money that they never had originally and the rights to Night of the Living Dead, which they never got because of fucking copyright issues. And it was completely with his blessing, and he got to fix a bunch of stuff that he didn't like. Right?
Is it very different? Is the remake different?
No.
It's basically...
It's very like, similar, but like...
Is it the one with Tony Todd as Ben?
Before Candyman, yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah, no, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's quite similar, but the action is better. The characters are better, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. The writing's arguably better.
Okay.
Day of the Dead remake worse. It's real bad.
Okay.
But I watched it when I was very young, so I was like, oh, cool, zombies. Danny Boyle was once like asked about George A. Romero's like influence, and he kind of like he was real shitty about it.
Oh.
I don't know if I could find it right now. I maybe don't have the time. Maybe if we do end up doing 28 Days Later. But yeah, it's a real asshole about George A. Romero's zombie work. And it really like kind of like put me down on Danny Boyle as a creative there. Why he like, because 28 Days Later is such a fantastic movie, and obviously you know it wouldn't have happened without George A. Romero. So put some respect in there, you know. But,
exactly.
Oh, do we have any like final closing thoughts or anything like this about the movie? I just adore this movie. Thanks for watching it, guys.
Yeah, I loved it.
It's really cool. What do you prefer then, Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead?
I think this is my favorite, but again, like I said, I've not seen any of the rest. So if we do get around to them, I'll be excited to actually watch them. I've only maybe seen videos on it or talked about it. I've never sat down and watched it from start to finish.
And you've never seen Diary?
No. All of these, I know what they cover. and I know what they're about, but I've never sat and watched it from opening credit to end credit. I've never just
so
pushed
that was an
myself to do it.
experience for you with this then, watching this.
Yeah. I've seen the majority of this one.
Yeah.
And then I watched it now for the first time extended and the whole lot, and I've seen it start to finish, and I think this one was my favorite of the two so far.
It's just great, isn't it? It's just so dope.
For me, like Hillary's gonna kill me now because I'm actually officially handing in my Land of the Dead card.
Yes.
Like I don't understand now what, like, compared to these last two, Night and Land, or Night and Dawn. How did I don't know what I was thinking with Land. Like Land has its moments, right?
The better movie.
Land has its moments. I still enjoy if I stuck it on, but my God, it doesn't hold a candle to either of these.
You said that last week, not last week, the first episode about Night of the Living Dead as well.
Yeah,
where you were like this is such a better movie. What was I thinking?
And of the two of them, between Dawn and Night, I'm gonna go Night. Just edges it, and it's gonna sound so morbid, but because of the more heavier ending, not because of like the connotations behind the ending. It's just like that. There's not always, and that's why when I was watching last night, I had a note here when Peter puts the gun to his head. Part of my heart just skipped because I thought the gun wasn't going to go off. Yeah. I thought, what if the gun jams or something like that, and then he's no way out.
Eaten.
I was like, but when he changed his mind, I was like, okay, and a more optimistic, a more kind of heroic finale, and a happier ending. So
it's optimistic, but it's got that line, not much fuel, so he still managed to stick in a dark essence in there,
dark undertone. But yeah, for me, Land, just because I would love to see what this movie looks like, and I'm probably just being a little bit too greedy. Like we had Land is finished, right? Land is washed, it's over. But for me, Night just edges this movie. I would love to see a cut of this movie. I might even just go on Premiere Pro now myself later on and just put on a monochrome filter over this and see what it's like.
In black and white. The Japanese version that I watched was very muted colors because it was just recorded from when it was shown on TV. It even has the guy skipping through the adverts in between. Seriously, I'm going to send you guys this. I'm going to post it in the chat. It's so good.
What if we get to Land, Steve, and you end up loving it more than these? What happens then?
Well, then I'll apologize to Hillary. I'm out as a fraud then because it's recency bias. But no, this one was phenomenal. This one was phenomenal.
I'm glad you guys are okay with watching a sequel so early into the podcast. This was really good for me, this choice. As I said, I've been away all week, so I knew I wasn't going to have much time for my choice to pick if I picked something different that I didn't know as much about, because a lot of these I wrote notes down just from my own memory.
From your own memory, yeah.
So I adore this movie.
Yeah.
I adore Night of the Living Dead. For me, this is one of my faves. Night is one of my faves. It's so hard to put one above the other, but this movie, maybe even more than Night, inspired everything that I love about the zombie genre.
Yeah. It went bigger. It became bigger in scope, bigger in production. Everything was just Night, but they've kind of just expanded on it. I guess I like the hopelessness of Night just being in the single house, not knowing besides the radio broadcast. Basically we if anyone hasn't checked it out and you're listening to this one, go back and watch our episode. We expanded on it all, just the feeling of kind of like immense dread of not knowing what's going on beyond the house.
I think Day brings some of that back. Day is a very it's a very the movie's full of solitude, it's a very very closed environment in Day of the Dead, and that's really cool. We'll get to that eventually. I'm slowly turning this podcast into my this is I get to talk about my favorite
We know Zombos.
We know Zombos. knows? Okay,
Well,
guys,
this is
we
phenomenal.
are going to tell you what next week's movie is, but first, let's get our
Romero,
plugs
please.
in.
Oh, yeah.
I stream over on Twitch at The Spooky Memes, all one word. You can catch me on YouTube at The Spooky Memes as well. That's different words, separate words. TikTok, The Spooky Memes, all one words. Come say hi, come talk about movies and video games, and it's always a good time. Bex, where can people find you?
BexFiend7. It's going to be written on your screen if you're watching here. If you're on Spotify, it's easy to spell out. I'm going to be on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, you name it. You just look it up. You're probably going to find me. Easy.
You can email us as well, I should say, right?
Oh, we do
you
have
can
a
tweet
business
us
email.
too.
Yeah, we have We Know Kino Pod.
Yeah,
on Twitter. Yeah.
Tweet us.
The
Please,
email will be in the description.
Exactly.
Cool.
And all our links will be in the description of both, for me, Steve Knievel on Twitch and YouTube. Pretty easy.
So,
all right, guys. Bex, it's your turn.
Right. I've said it. I've promised to stick to it, and I'm taking us away from horror this week.
I am
We're not doing
excited. What are we doing?
So I want to give a shout out to my brother, firstly. I'm picking a movie for him.
Oh.
We're going to be covering one of his favorite directors, and it's not my brother's favorite movie of his, but it's one I think you guys will enjoy. Wes Anderson's Fantastic Mr. Fox. That's what we're going to be covering.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is interesting.
next.
I've not seen it.
Steve, you seen it?
Is it the live action one, or is it the
Animated. Animation.
I've read the book. I've never seen the movies at all. So yeah,
the last Wes Anderson movie I watched, and we'll talk about it next week. But I thought it was dog shit. So this is exciting.
Hey, we're here for it. But
Callum Seb saying stuff about Wes Anderson. I know you're listening to. You heard him.
No, I love. What's the one? I really enjoy some of his movies, but the last one I thought was shit. So
okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I've not seen this one, so this will be interesting. This is exciting.
Fantastic Mr. Fox. I'm looking forward to this. I've never seen it. So
away from horror.
This will be so dope. And we're away from horror. You did it.
Yeah.
You took the plunge, Bex.
I had 4 different movies that were horror that I was going to pick as well. I was like, nope, we're not doing it.
People keep asking me, so it's a horror movie podcast. Why didn't you put horror in the name? I'm like, no. We can talk about anything. It's just we've all happened to choose horror movies.
And now,
here I am.
Yeah, next week, there you go. This will be a huge change, huh?
If you haven't already, we have an episode on Night of the Living Dead. We have an episode on The Shining. We have an episode on The Omen last week, which I think is hilarious. Go check that out.
Check them out.
Thank you so much for listening, for watching. We're about to hit like 100 hours. Over the time on YouTube that people have listened to. So thank you guys so much. That's incredible. People want to listen to us. Just chat shit and be passionate about movies. That's the dream. Thank you guys.
Before we end,
as well.
Rest in Pies Seb. Everybody who knows. Rest in Pies Seb.
Did I die? Did you guys tell people I was dead? What's happened?
You've been reborn.
Next episode.
Yeah.
See you next. Did I return like a zombie?
You have like a ghoul.
Like a ghoul. Before you got here, Steve, my profile picture is me in Barcelona, and Bex pointed out that I'm wearing a fucking Doja Cat t-shirt.
But it's ironic, right?
It's ironic, but I did almost buy. I was in like a music store and I saw a Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon t-shirt, and I'm like, this is so perfect for the pod.
And you're wearing it on stream later on. Yes, you are.
I will be. Yeah. Oh, can I talk about zombies? When I was in Barcelona, I went to where they filmed Wreck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I went to the apartment building. I could have probably went to any apartment building because they all looked so similar.
Yeah, you could have
I put the effort in and I went and found the apartment where Wreck was filmed, and I went and like took a little film of myself there. So maybe put that up on the Twitter or something at some point. Or maybe if we cover Wreck at some point.
Wreck could be a good one to cover too. I actually like that film.
So hints for later pods, guys.
Excellent.
Pods. Yeah, guys, thank you all so much. Shall we end?
Yeah, that's it.
Bye. All right, peace out, folks. Laters.